What's going on, everybody? I'm here live today. A very, very rare broadcast. We'll wait about 2 minutes for everyone to get in and join. But I'm here with the extremely rare, like Pokemon rare, Brandon Straka from the Walk Away movement. Soon, maybe more. I was just saying hi. You can say what up, because then
Oh,
you're.
I'm sorry. Am I in? Am I here?
Yeah. Because it's like a Google thing where when you talk, it pops your face in, and then when I talk, it pops my face in. So if we yell at each other in unison, I don't know what it's gonna do. It's probably gonna go back and forth.
I got you. I got you. Okay. Hey, everybody. What's going on?
All right, let's see who we got in the chat while we're waiting. We got Sal Cruz. He's throwing Hadoukens in the chat. Interesting move. Killjoy Sanchez. Is this on Cali time? It's all the same time. You just gotta set your clocks differently. Julia Daypass, Maxim Cipher, that Monica girl. Thank you guys. She said you are the man. I don't know if she's talking about me or Brandon, but you got to specify because there's two men in the building now. All right, so we'll start it off. We got a good amount of people, and it's gonna grow. So we'll talk real quick about today. I guess there was a protest outside of Twitter with Laura, and I know you attended that. It was snowing. I was like, oh, thank goodness I'm on the West Coast, but I saw.
Yeah. So today, Laura Loomer had another protest outside of Twitter headquarters in New York City, and she actually called me up last night on the phone and asked me if I would come and be a part of it, and I was happy to do that. And obviously she's banned on Twitter, so she asked me, if I could tweet about it and stuff, because we kind of have to be her voice right now, like people like me who support her or anybody else who supports her. So she asked if I would come out and be a part of it, and so I did. And you're absolutely right. It was snowing and it was freezing, but it was pretty cool. She didn't have a huge crowd, but she probably had, anywhere between a dozen and a couple of dozen people there. And she's got a huge personality. I mean, she can literally carry a protest by herself, and do it well. I mean, if it was just Laura Loomer there, it would have been a good show. But I mean, having other people there too, I think just kind of made it all the better. But one thing she did say that I thought was a really good point was I did a live broadcast for anybody, Periscope, for anybody who wants to go and watch it after they finish watching this. And one of the things Laura said was, she's like, where are my fellow conservatives? Where are the people who, support me? And I feel for her in that regard. I mean, that's why I wanted to make a point to, I live up in Harlem. It took me 45 minutes to an hour to get down there, and it's freezing cold and it's snowing, but I wanted to show up for her. I wanted to be there for her. And I think she's the kind of person that would show up for me too, if I was in need. So I would like to see more of that in the conservative movement,
Yes, especially with her Twitter ban, because I know Laura. I love Laura. I met her in person. She's high energy and honestly has a set of cojones that nobody really has anymore. Everybody's like, meh, and she just goes hard in the paint. Where certain protests, where she's breaking into places where I'm like, But the Twitter one, although it's like it is interesting and it is something. I really stood up for her with the Twitter one because it really didn't make sense. And if it's honest and it's not worthy of banning, it was a big deal. I'm going to read her tweet now because I have it. This is why she got banned. And keep in mind, you could watch, I had a tweet the other day. I was like, you could watch full on gangbang porn on Twitter. Like you could literally watch any type of porn you want, but you're not allowed to say that there's two genders or something, where it's like, it's just at what point where I get like, you don't want to be mean to people, but it's like you can watch full porn, but you can't say what Laura Loomer said, which was, isn't it ironic how the Twitter moment used to celebrate women, LGBT, and minorities is a picture of Ilhan Omar? Ilhan is pro-Sharia. Ilhan is pro-FGM. Under Sharia, homosexuals are oppressed and killed. Women are abused, forced to wear the hijab. Ilhan is anti-Jewish. I mean, it just seems ridiculous that they banned her for that, considering there's death threats against teenagers from verified blue check mark celebrities. It's like they don't really follow their own policies. And now you have Twitter that is literally almost, I would say, pro-ISIS, and I don't even mean that lightly. It's like you can't get good press if you're a conservative woman, but if you're ISIS, they're like, she's just a pregnant ISIS member, like just let her home. So it's like, they don't. The reason that they banned Laura and Alex didn't actually make sense. If Laura, because Laura does wild stuff sometimes, if they could point to something that was illegal or against community guidelines and be like, that's why Laura Loomer or Alex got banned, I wouldn't say I'd be okay with it, but it would make more sense to me. Where Laura and Alex got banned, didn't make sense. She's not threatening somebody. That's an opinion, to be honest, where it's rooted in truth, and it's honestly more accurate than most of what other people say. So I don't understand why she got banned for that.
I don't either. And, like, let's just revisit something here for a second, too. It was like, as long as we're talking about Twitter's, guidelines and standards, while you're talking there, I just pulled back up to refresh my memory and anyone else's memory. These are the tweets of Sarah Zhang, the Asian reporter that was hired by the New York Times. She was not reprimanded by the New York Times or by Twitter in any way, shape, or form for writing some of these tweets. This is from Sarah Zhang of the New York Times. Dumbass fucking white people marking up the internet with their opinions like dogs pissing on fire hydrants. Are white people genetically predisposed to burn faster in the sun, thus logically being only fit to live underground like groveling goblins? Another tweet, hashtag cancel white people. Another tweet, oh man, it's kind of sick how much joy I get out of being cruel to old white men. Yeah, it goes on and on and on. I mean, it's like
there's no consistency. I posted the groveling goblins one. I screenshotted and posted it on Facebook, and I got a 24-hour ban for her, but I wasn't promoting it. I was like, look at this woman gets a job at the New York Times, and I try to shed light to how gross it is, and they actually gave me the 24-hour ban. And there's people that threaten people, this and that. And then Jack Dorsey went on Joe Rogan and was like, it's an open forum for anybody to speak, only if you're harassing or threatening somebody. And it's like, no, bro, it's actually the opposite. If you're harassing or threatening somebody, even if you're a celebrity, they don't care. But if you speak an opinion that is scientific or accurate or inaccurate and just maybe not the right political side, they ban you. So they're becoming really creepy for sure.
Hey, I want to ask you just where you stand on something, what your opinion is, because this is something I'm just like genuinely curious about, and I ask a lot of people. Like, do you think? I think we can probably all agree that there should absolutely not be allowed to be like calls for violence on social media. Like, you shouldn't be able to go on Twitter and be like, hey, everyone meet me tomorrow and we're going to like kick the hell out of somebody or something,
Absolutely.
But short of that, like, do you think that people should be allowed to engage in, say, racist language or comments if they want to, and it's up to individuals to say, this is too much for me, I'm going to block this account or block this user? Like, do you think that people should be allowed to say something if it's not necessarily threatening, but if it's just crossing a line in terms of being mean or inappropriate?
Yeah, it's a tough line, because I would say, people say to me is, well, they're a private company, they can do what they want. And I'm like, even at that, they're not following their own guidelines now. Like, they say it's this and then they do this. So they're totally lying now. Yeah. I would prefer that they let most things fly besides violence. That would be my preference, because hate speech and racism and sexism is a very fine line. And I'm starting to notice even on the right, it's mostly obviously on the left, but certain people, if they really don't like them, they're unwilling to listen to anything they say. And I'm finding myself listening to what they would call extreme people, but I find them very blunt and accurate, and certain things I don't agree with, but they're kind of like Trump. They just throw it out there. So like, what is racist? Because to me, like, New York Times, Washington Post, Huffington Post, like all these blue check mark bloggers who have like 5,000 followers, they seem like really racist and sexist, like specifically hating on men and hating on, specific races. And it doesn't bother me. So I guess I would say, yeah, I think that type of stuff should probably fly. And I do think identity politics and the isms have kind of lost a lot of touch, because why is it like, how is it hurtful to this community and helpful to this? Like, people don't break down things anymore. They just throw the ism on it, and it gets lost in the sauce. But at that, I'll throw it back to you. what really grinds my gears now is that they say, here's our guideline, here's our policies, here's our speech laws, which are creepy, and I don't agree with them, but they don't even actually follow those. And then they go on these big podcasts and say, no, this is a platform for everyone to express their opinion, only if you threaten people. But we know that there's people threatening people left and right, and they fly. And then Laura Loomer, Owen Benjamin, others get knocked down for a joke or a tweet that, out of everything Laura Loomer's ever said or done, I actually think this tweet here is pretty accurate. You know, I would say for the most part, that tweet that got her banned, I would say it's mostly, if not all, kind of true. It's like, why use her? You know, it's I get what she was saying. It's not nearly the most offensive or brass thing she's ever done. So why that got her banned? It's clearly like a political hit job, not a community safe space or whatever they'd say.
Yeah, I think they were definitely looking for something on her, and you're right, because it's, see, this is something I like about the conservative movement too, because I'm a former liberal. For any of your people who don't know who I am, and you too, right? I mean, you're former liberal, right?
Yeah, I was just left leaning, like environment, I guess, like fighting the system from the left. So
But you were a Bernie guy, weren't you?
I liked Bernie, yeah. I guess my liberal came from a different part because I wasn't out campaigning for Democrats per se. I was always like, two-party system's corrupt. But then I saw Bernie as like a bright light. And I thought when I was younger, I was like, oh, Obama, he's half black. He smokes weed. He plays basketball. I was like, that's kind of tight. Like I was kind of easygoing like I am now. But yeah, Bernie, I thought he was like a Trump, honestly. I thought he was going to like crush the two-party system. But then he's like, duh, and then he just jumped back in line. I was like, bro, I showed you love, man. Why'd you turn on me like that?
Well, yeah, but I was going to say, I feel like within the conservative movement, one thing I think is cool is, you can have more of like an issue-based relationship, I think, with people. I mean, like Laura Loomer has definitely said things that I'm like, girl, like, what do you, for me, I'm just like, what are you talking about? But I still like her. And there are things she says that I'm like, that's right on the money. And then there are things that she says where I'm kind of like, nah, that's not for me. But that doesn't, like, I don't feel the need to like shun somebody or like, do what they did to Roseanne just because somebody might make a statement or have a feeling about a certain issue that I don't share that feeling or whatever. And I mean, that's even true of like the gay issues and stuff. I'm gay, but it's like, there are people who I really respect in the conservative movement who are like, I just don't think gay people should be able to get married. And I'm like, I don't like that, but it's like, I don't have to hate you. Or like it doesn't have to be like an all or nothing thing,
Absolutely.
And so, I mean, yeah, so that's, I guess bringing it back, I'm definitely of the school now where it's like, unless you're like a specific call to violence or you're like organizing a terrorist act or something like that, I just feel like we're all grown people and we should be able to decide for ourselves what language goes too far for us or what we don't want to see. And I mean, we all have the ability to block people who say things that we don't like, and I just feel like that's people should be able to say. And also it's a fallacy that you're somehow suppressing racism or white supremacy by not allowing it to be said or not allowing it to exist. It doesn't make it go away. And it's like it's the same people who are like, ban white people who say racist things. And then they lose their minds when, once every year or two, the KKK comes out and marches and they're like, oh, what's happening? Where did these people come from? And it's like, well, if you didn't ban them everywhere, you would know that they exist and you would know that there's like 24 of them in the entire country. And it's actually not even really a big deal, but it's like, it seems like a big deal to you because you banned them everywhere. And then all of a sudden one day you get confronted and you're just like, what's happening?
Yeah, no, you nailed a lot of real things. The left, to me, I always like the compassion and the kindness, and that's where it seemed like it was living. And now it's literally just like like it's like a loud screeching scream where it's like, Bernie's an old white man. But it's like, I don't particularly like Bernie anymore, but it's not because he's an old white man who's Jewish. Like, it's because of his policies and who he is. Like, there's reasons, where they don't have reason or logic or common sense for anything. So it's literally like this melting pile of victim mentality, what I would consider actual racism and sexism without wanting to ban it, like specifically only looking at race and skin. They'd go up to you or someone like David Harris and be like, but you can't feel that way because you're gay and you're black. And it's like, you think they're like, what if he's like, dude, I like anime and guns. Like you don't know who he is at all. So it's become weird like that. And you're totally right with the hate speech stuff. I think people like you make conservatives like gay people more. People that are black and strong in their conviction make any racist that still exists on the right less racist, because the thing that they're worried about is the stuff that no one's talking about, whether it be the crime or maybe like the, I don't want to say debauchery, but per se of like the now LGBT was like get married. And I was like, whatever. And now it's like, you can't say anything. And they're going too far where it's like, it's not your sexuality that's annoying me. It's like your politics and your censorship. So
exactly. Thank you for bringing this up, because this never comes up and it's such an important point. And it literally took me walking away from the Democratic Party and liberalism to figure this out. I never would have figured it out if I was still a liberal or a Democrat. And that is that there are so many people who like on the right or, who are conservatives who have issues maybe with LGBT people or people of color, but it's not because they're a person of color or because they're LGBT, but because at this point, like more than 90% of people of color are voting Democrat, and like probably a higher rate of LGBT people are voting Democrat. And it's almost like our identities have really come to represent our inflexibility in our politics. And I think that is what these people are reacting to and I do it now too. When I see somebody who I know is obviously gay, my first thought is, oh, this person is probably a complete fucking libtard, it's like, and then if I find out otherwise, I'm like, oh, thank God, but it's like,
and that's why people are so mad at stereotypes, where obviously if you like hate people because of who they are, but some stereotypes are actually from truth. Like most gays are liberal. Most black people do vote Democrat.
Right.
You could make white stereotypes, but they're rooted, not everybody, but there is a correlation there. That's why I never get mad. It's a superpower to not care what other people say about you. I know people think things that aren't true about me, but it's up to me how much it really bothers me and damages me. So the fact that they just like scream and screech, and there's a good documentary I watched I always reference on Netflix. His name was Daryl Davis, black jazz musician, made over 100 people quit the KKK because he was so cool. They literally said there's this funny clip. I can't say the word or I'll be banned forever. But he's like in front of a bunch of KKK members, but he's with the black dude, Daryl Davis. And he says, you know what? I like this guy more than you white N-words. And he called them white N-words. And like, literally it's like, I'm going off with my black homie because you guys are idiots. So that's how you make people less racist. It's like, I'm not saying to go join, like people are like, An0maly, don't be weak and foolish. I'm not saying to not protect yourself, but it's just true. Like I watch some of the craziest people that they're like, don't watch. And I'm like, these guys are way more rational than the mainstream media. And if I said that, they'd be like, what the heck? And I'm like, watch a half hour of that person, listen to yourself. At least I get where they stand. Even if I don't agree with them, they're like, this is what I think. This is why. And a lot of the racism and stuff, it does come from there's small percentages of people doing large percentages of stuff. It's not to say this or that. We can talk about history, the future, poverty, everything involved. But when you can't talk about it, when you can't say it, and then you just blame white people or men or something for everything in society, when we live in the greatest society for the LGBT community, like you can be like RuPaul's crushing it right now. People like Jeffree Star, I heard he's making like tens of millions of dollars on makeup. There's never been a better time to be LGBT now. So even on the right wing, which historically it's like everyone loves you because you're just not annoying and you're smart. It's like, that's all. Just do that and no one cares.
Yeah, no, you're totally right. And like I was actually thinking the other day about how I kind of think to a certain degree, like how, liberalism has become so overtly, like over the top with the identity politics and all this, and how at this point it's like they're almost, I'm becoming convinced, like, once you take the red pill and you become conservative, you get to be a little like, you have to start questioning everything, and then you have to like draw the line in your brain, but like, where am I becoming a conspiracy theorist, and and what's actually real. But I started thinking the other day, I'm like, are they trying to make people who aren't racist racist? Like, are they trying to create racists, like just making it like a self-fulfilling thing? Because like I was just saying a moment ago, like with people of color, for instance, we know that like this enormous disproportionate number of people who are of color usually tend to be liberals or vote, Democrat. Now, if you're a liberal now, it's become like part of the like just common mantra to talk about white privilege and blame white people for everything. So I mean, I've kind of gotten to this point now where sometimes when I like meet a new person who's black or Hispanic or whatever, my first thought is, I wonder if this person hates me, and I become defensive. Like and so like I start looking for little signals, like, are you cool, or like, do we have a problem? And it's like, that in itself is weird. Like, that's weird, that to go into a relationship like that and feel defensive, but it's like, that's what it does. And then it's like, it almost makes you want to just like not engage sometimes, because I'm like, I don't want to go through this experience of like trying to figure out if you hate me because I'm white.
That's a good point, because a lot of it is, say, historically, like a lot of the LGBT community feels oppressed, and I would say rightfully so. When you go back in history, like, it wasn't always okay. Black people feel oppressed because of history, and you go back a certain era, they weren't being treated properly. So part of it is justified, but the media amplifies it times 40, 50. So then, like you said, now, like, if I'm always looking for something in someone else, like if I'm a certain race or this or that, and I think everyone's against me, then I've seen it with my friends where they're like, dude, this car company doesn't like us because we're this. And I'm like, no, dude, car companies and phone companies, like, they don't give a shit about anybody. Like, that's just how it works. Right. So they amplify it in people in your head. And it's like, that's why the victim mentality is so harmful. Because like, the truth is, the world is pretty much against everybody, unless you have like banker families or you're really well connected in some sort of corporation. You probably are coming from the bottom of the pyramid somewhere, whether it's like mid-level or like total bottom. But that is life. The only way to get over it is to like really look for the good and find the good in others. If you're looking for the bad, like they've done to multiple communities, and now you have the blowback of all of that bad media, and instead of looking for things that we agree with, just always looking for differences. And the right does it a little bit too, but it is, I would say, perpetuated majority. Like, you can't even stand on stage. They're like, look at my friend Tracy Morgan, the minority. It's like, dude, he's a man, he's a actor, he's a like, I'm not like, hey, my friend Brandon, the gay guy. Like, it's like, it just seems so not authentic the way they do that. But I don't think it's a conspiracy, though. I think you're on it. Once you take the red pill into politics, a lot of things we were lied about. And I'll give you a theory that might be interesting to you, and then I'll let you rock it. People think, and I'm starting to think there's some validity to it. So we're talking about demographics and how they usually vote left. Well, white men vote right wing mostly, and they're the biggest core group of white men. So a lot of people think the media is socially engineering people to hate white men because they are the biggest voter bloc for the right wing. And then if they can eliminate that voter bloc via abortions or just like, societal pressure, now they can control America completely with far leftism. So a lot of people think it's like, they say the white man is evil, but the flip side could be that the white voter bloc is the one that's holding things together from being like a global takeover. That's
I agree with it. I mean, I completely agree with that. I don't even see how there's like a counter theory to that. I mean, it just seems obvious that's exactly what's going on. I mean, they do seem, and by they, I'm talking about the Democratic Party now, just to be clear. I mean, they were not the biggest like advocates for illegal immigrants like they are now, but it's their new pet project. And I mean, it's just like anything. They don't even care how destructive it is or how much it lacks value, as long as it will eventually get them to the point where they'll be massively winning elections and taking control, and it's bizarre because I think they're losing their grip on racial minorities. They're going to be losing their grip on gay people before long. And actually, let's take a second to talk about this, because I actually intend to do a video about this hopefully today. I have a super crazy busy week, but I want to find some time to do this today because it's important. And I think particularly for me, the voice that I have in this movement, I think it's important. So I don't know if you saw that the Trump administration is now beginning this initiative, whatever, to try to decriminalize homosexuality around the globe. Did you see that?
Yeah, absolutely.
That should be the biggest story that all LGBT people are talking about right now. I mean, all these same people who've spent the last 3 years saying that we live in Nazi Germany and we're going to gay death camps and all this stuff. Like, we should be really, really, really talking about this, right? But of course, no one is. So then I go on Out Magazine. That's probably the most popular gay magazine, Out Magazine.
Yeah, I saw that. Tell them the headline is pretty funny.
Oh, you saw it? Okay. Yeah. So let me tell everybody. I'm going to make a video about this. 1 second. Out Magazine. So Out Magazine put out an article. God, they tweet a lot, so sorry. Oh, here it is. Says, Trump's plan to decriminalize homosexuality is an old racist tactic.
Yeah, I read that, and because I was like, you know what, I do think that he could be using this to go at Iran and do some stuff. So I was like, maybe there's some validity to their critique, but it's like, it's racist, what? And then the first couple paragraphs, they're like, well, there's still a lot of stuff here. It's like, dude, you can't be gay in other countries, like, at all. It's not safe. And they're like, but we're the most oppressed here. It's like, no, you're not. No, you're not.
I just don't like. To me, that's got to be just like such clear evidence to people at this point that there is literally nothing he can do that won't be called racist or bigoted. Nothing. I mean, he's dedicated monuments to MLK, and he's released Black people from life prison sentences. He's done the First Step Act. I mean, I could go on and on and on. Of course, we know like the all-time low unemployment for Black people, that they're making more money, that their taxes are lower.
He cleaned the oceans too, which is like a big environmental thing, and that kind of slipped away. Like, he's straight up. Yeah, he cleaned the ocean too. Like, I didn't even think, I'm like, prison reform, LGBT world. Like, he's straight up, because they just used the LGBT. They were anti-gay marriage. I think Trump was like originator on that. They passed it, used it, but like, they don't actually follow through with anything. They use it and then drop it. Like, I mean, they dropped the Black community like quickly. We're like, illegals. And you're like, what about Hispanic American citizens? They're like, oh, no, we never really cared about you. So it's like, the new thing is like, and then Trump's like, actually, they're like, wait, no, we just said that. Like, we weren't actually going to do that. Like, they talked about so much stuff. And he's like, no, I'm going to end the wars. They're like, no, you're not supposed to actually end the wars. You're just supposed to pretend like you're gonna.
Right. Just say it. Don't actually do it.
Yeah.
It's nuts. Yeah, they're nuts. But this, I want to, one of the things I'm doing with Walkaway in the next month, I got thrown a little bit. I got this incredibly wonderful honor. I'm going to be speaking at CPAC next week, which I'm super excited about. But it kind of threw my schedule back a little bit. Because it's I'm going to be there basically all of next week. So some of the things I was going to be doing at the beginning of March are now getting pushed back a little bit. But I'm going to do an LGBT town hall, Walkaway town hall in New York, and I'm also doing basically a town hall for, well, anybody really. But so we made this movie. I don't know if you ever had a chance to see it, but it's like a 35-minute documentary style short film that we call The Great Awakening, Breaking the Chains of the Democratic Party. And we made it using the walkaway testimonials of 20 Black Americans, and then created like a 35-minute documentary style film where it basically talks about the common Black experience in America, which is and this is through their own stories, that their own testimonials, but they're talking about how indoctrination works politically within, the Black community in America. They're talking about Trump and Obama and immigration and the abortion industry and faith and religion. And so anyway, so it's this 35-minute documentary. We put it out. It's on YouTube now, and people are just loving it. I mean, it's like it's making people cry. It's making people think. It's like waking people up. And so I wanted to raise some money, which we've done, and rent out some movie theaters, like at the Magic Johnson Theater in Harlem, and or we might do it on 42nd Street at Regal Cinemas here. But anyway, we'll have the whole theater. We'll have a PA system, and we can do literally a free screening for people who show up. And what I want to do is really fill the theater with as many people of color as possible, and then afterwards have a panel, which will be, you know, like a racially diverse panel of conservatives and walkaway people, and just have like a town hall style discussion, and just say, what do you think about this movie that you just watched? What do you think about what the people were saying? And can we have an open and honest conversation about our voting behaviors? And by our, I mean all of us Americans, but also just, you know, minority communities. Why are we voting the way that we vote? And is it still in our best interest to do so? So there'll be the movie event, and then there will also be the LGBT town hall event, which I'm doing at the LGBT Center here in New York City. So those are coming up like within the next month. But I think it'll be a really amazing opportunity to directly address, just confront this with, you know, people in these communities. I mean, when I saw this, that Trump did this, I thought this is an amazing thing. This is a thing that should be celebrated, but somehow they found a way to spin it into something awful. And I want to talk, I mean, it seems like the perfect time now to start having these conversations.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it was Alyssa Milano the other day when she found out about the Jussie Smollett thing. Her like mind control programming was like malfunctioning, and she was like, could they possibly be using our weaknesses for their advantage? And I was like, yes, Alyssa, that's what they do every single day. You know, I'm glad that you've joined the conversation. So when you connect,
what are you talking about? Who was the they that she was referring to?
The Jussie Smollett hoax. So once she figured out it was probably a hoax, you know, it's not completely confirmed yet, but it's getting there, where she was like, could someone possibly stage something to take advantage of our weaknesses? And I was like, yes, girl, yes. Like, yeah, literally. So
wow,
that's the kind of,
I was getting red pilled. We're all watching it in real time. It's starting.
Exactly. And some people watch too much CNN or MSNBC, so the mind control programming is like too deep, where it's like you just got to go bathe in the ocean for a little bit. We'll watch out for the plastic, and don't throw the plastic rings in because they choke dolphins. That's what they say. But anyway, you know, on that note, I got lost with that minor joke. Oh yeah, with the LGBT and gay community, if you connect in person and just let them know you're being used, like a lot of conservatives come at it in the wrong way, where they're like, bah, 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 and they're just like, whoa, like if you're LGBT or you're like just black and you're not already conservative, you're like, even me, like I agree with them, and people annoy me even though I agree with what they're saying. I'm like, yeah, that's relax, like drink some water.
Democratic plantation. You're a slave. You're a slave. Yeah.
There's levels to how people do it. But if you could connect with them and be like, listen, I know like this is this and that, and like I think they're using your community to start wars and take tax money. Like, do you like taxes? No. Some people, maybe they say yes, but I don't know anybody that likes the government taking their money. Like, government's corrupt, right? Yes. Do you want to give them your money? No. Then did you realize that that's what the people, they like scream racism, sexism, xenophobia, and then they steal your money? And then like there's ways to it, but I think everyone plays a part, and there's definitely a huge gap in conservative, libertarian leaning people who actually really connect with communities, and you know, it goes a long way.
I agree completely. And I've had to sort of rethink my approach, and it's a constant like process. Like on a daily basis, sometimes I rethink my approach, because it's easy sometimes, I think, to look around and you see who the players in the conservative movement who get kind of propped up on a pedestal, right? And so to a certain degree, you start asking yourself, or at least I have asked myself, like, is this the game I have to play to get that kind of reception from people? And you know, because I have a goal, right? My goal is to get people to leave the Democratic Party. My goal is to get people to be red pilled and wake up, because it's scary, but it's amazing. I mean, what happened to me is amazing. Like realizing, having that light bulb go on and realizing that I was being lied to, and going through that journey of walking away. But where I am now, it's like an incredible thing, and I could never go back. And I kind of wish that for everybody. And so in order to be able to, get the eyes and ears of people on me so that I can convey that message. And then sometimes I wonder, like, do I need to behave in a way that's more like outrageous than I want to be behaving, or maybe more inflammatory than I want to be behaving, because other people are behaving that way and they're on the news every single night, or they have, 5 million followers on Twitter or whatever. But I'm like, where are the fruits of their labor, really? I mean, it's like, yes, they have a lot of followers, or perhaps they get a lot of attention in the conservative movement, but it's like, where are the actual results? And I want results. Like, I actually want to see people walk away, or I really want to open people's eyes. And you're right. And I think the way that happens is through a heartfelt connection.
No, you're nailing things. And there's two possibilities. One, the media, including a lot of right-wing media, and even I would say GOP leadership, it was so bad that Trump just came in and was like, give me that. And they're like, okay. Like, it's like game over for all of them. They work their whole lives and Trump just comes in. That's why they're so mad. But either they're incompetent, which I would say thank you for allowing me to have a platform and a career that I never planned, because like you guys didn't do it right. Or the possibility is, when it comes to mainstream media, even maybe right-wing media, maybe they don't want people to not be inflammatory. I don't know for sure, but I do know, as much as I like Fox more than other stations and the people they have on, and even people like Tucker, I feel like are leagues above everyone else on liberal media. They'll sell pills in the commercial. They'll even sell a Tom Steyer anti-Trump commercial. It's like they'll sell a lot of stuff. And I get it. You got to make a sale or something, but maybe they're not trying to, either they're messing up and they don't understand it's a good formula, or, divide and conquer, where it's like, there's levels to the pyramid. The more I learn, the more I realize, okay, I was a level down. And I don't even care that much. I'm not trying to get to the top or anything, but I'm like, like conservatives clearly understand more than liberals do, but maybe it's like they don't want you to reach that next level of like not having people mad all the time and not having people so inflamed, like you said, because it's like, I don't understand why they wouldn't take different strategies or try to use stuff. But I'm like, either they're dropping the ball and they're following an old formula, which is highly possible. A lot of news sources do that and then they fail. They don't get the internet, or they don't actually want to get to that point. I'm not saying that's true, but I think about it in my head sometimes, like, maybe they don't want that.
Well, I think that we're sort of living in this really weird time right now, where we've got this president who is a total outlier, and he's in there kind of representing the voice of the people. But there's obviously everybody on the left has lost their minds completely over him. And then the people like the establishment types on the right are also not embracing him and kind of engaging in these acts of internal sabotage and stuff. And then the media on the left, we know where they stand, but then the media on the right is kind of fractured too. Cause it's like, sometimes I see stuff in the mainstream conservative media and I'm like, what are you doing? Like, why are you like, are you turning on him now? Or like, what are you doing? And I guess my point is that until however this all gets sorted out and resolved, I have no idea. Like, I don't know what the end of this story is going to be. I have no idea, but I do think that there will come a time when, even within the conservative moment, I'll put it this way, my hope is that at some point within the conservative movement, voices like yours, and I think voices like mine, end up being the ones that rise to the top. Because one thing I really love about you is that you have great, in addition to having a lot of great intelligence and passion, you have a lot of common sense. And I think you're also not afraid to call out conservatives and be critical of conservatives where they really need to be criticized sometimes. And some of these people, again, like the ones who have a bazillion followers and, are on Fox every night and stuff, they never call out the conservative movement and really tell the truth about what's going on, because that's the way it should be. Like, none of us should be afraid to tell the truth about conservatives, even when it's not flattering, just because, well, then maybe I won't have as many followers, or maybe I won't like get asked to do this media appearance or whatever. But it's like, isn't the ultimate pursuit supposed to be the truth? And at the very least, like, I feel an obligation, as I'm sure you feel an obligation, to be the voice of a lot of people who don't have a voice. And I'm not doing justice by the people who put their faith in me and who give me the great privilege and honor of following me by just talking out the side of my mouth like a politician does so that I can be on TV more often, or that I can get more clicks or more likes. Like, I don't want to do that, you know?
No,
I
absolutely.
admire you because you're like that. You know, I think you're really honest and you really just tell your truth. And I think that's really cool.
Thank you. Yeah, I appreciate it. And that's what bothers me maybe the most is like, I'm okay financially now, and just even life-wise, life is very good. But I feel like it's not only a loss for me, but a loss for them, because there is a huge gap there. I would say Tucker fills it the best out of anyone I've seen, where he'll go against like the war agenda. And that's almost unheard of on conservative media, when he'll disagree with everybody else. But it is a lot of echo chamber as well. Like, just because we might be right about a lot of things, or I believe that we are, you become wrong. That's what the liberals did. They thought they had a monopoly on science. You know, they thought they had a monopoly on love and compassion, but then they lost all of that. And it's like, you're, as a right winger, it's like, I like that we have self-accountability and honesty, but if we lose that in out of whatever it is, ego or meanness or bitterness, then we're not going to have it anymore. And that's the type of stuff I call out. I don't know if they don't want to air that, or maybe it's just like, you know, it could be like, well, it's obviously politics. So politics on politics, where it's like, well, they did this, they did that. But I feel like I'm building on a strong foundation. So a lot of these people, you've always been, I'll say, because, you know, at the beginning, when you launched the Walkaway movement, I showed love and help, but you always showed love. You invited me to Dinesh's event. You invited me to the Walkaway event. You've always been more than nice about it, and more than open, more than some people ever have. Like, in one day you've offered and helped more. And I appreciate that, because it's like, I don't demand it, but it doesn't make sense to me when other people will invite hundreds of people to do things. And I'm like, it's not that I need it, but it's like, you could use me. You know what I'm saying? You could use a little bit like this, where I do feel that. And I don't know at the corporate level if it's on purpose or it's just, but you know, at the end of the day, it's been like a year and a half, and the growth we've seen is great. So I always just make sure I focus on myself, because if I lose, even like you said, if you lose the truth and authenticity in pursuit of the truth, and you just kind of get too cocky about it, that's when it'll be easier to slip away. And I don't want that to happen.
You know what I think it is? I think you just literally made me have an epiphany while you were talking. One thing that I think is different about you and me and others, not just the two of us, but there are a lot of people in the conservative movement who are kind of similar type voices, or have a similar stance, I think, as we do. But we're more sort of, I think, first of all, artistic, creative types. And we're also, I think, visionaries. I think you have a vision for what you want your brand and your message and the way in which you communicate to be. I have the same thing for myself. And I think that for a lot of other people who maybe have risen to the top very quickly or whatever, I don't know that they necessarily have that vision. I think they just look around and they see what's working. Like, I want to have the same success as that person has, or I want to do what that person's having. Like, I'm trying to kind of blaze a new trail, do something. Like, you know, once there weren't, when I did what I did, there weren't like a number of movements for people to walk away from the Democratic Party. Like, that was a unique concept. Like, I saw that this is something that people needed. They needed an outlet to be able to say, like, hey, I want to walk away. I'm afraid to do it. I don't want to do it by myself. So I'm like, I'm going to create a movement and a network and give that voice to people, you know, and stuff. And that was a vision that I had, in a way that I wanted to communicate something I wanted to contribute to the world. And I think that you do that similarly with your music and the ways in which you communicate with people and your style of communicating. And I don't get the feeling that you're trying to be Ben Shapiro. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
or like,
no.
I don't get the feeling that you're trying to be someone else. You're just trying to kind of do your own thing. And I think that in time, people will see visionary people within the conservative movement as really the voices that people should be listening to more, and not just those who are like trying to be the next Ann Coulter or trying to be the next Ben Shapiro or whatever, you know, because it's already
Yeah.
done.
I always tell myself everyone plays a role, because when I hyperanalyze it, like there's a lot of people that I agree with on some stuff, but certain stuff I'm just like, oh no. But the more I, really sit on it, I'm just like, well, they have to play a role. Even like a Cortez or somebody, where it's like I don't agree with a lot of things, but I see why they're there and I see the role they're playing. As long as nobody, blocks my light or tries to get in the way of that, then I'm not too concerned about it, because, I've seen from BuzzFeed to Huffington Post, the biggest media sources in the world, just crumble quickly. And Washington Post, he's getting sued by this Sandman kid. It's like this kid might own the publication soon. It's like they might go from Jeff Bezos to 16-year-old MAGA hat kid. Maybe not, but I'm like, it's like things. I always just hyper focus on myself, because it's like, man, I've seen things go up and down. People that I used to in the hip hop community want them to answer my message really bad, just like, and then now it's like they're asking me for favors because they can't do anything. And whole corporations and labels that were like, we don't want to work with you, An0maly, because you're talking about politics and like you should talk about drugs and women and kill people and stuff. And I was like, I'll sit this one out. And now it's like I don't even know where they're at. I don't even know if they exist as a label. So time will tell all for sure. But yeah, it's like with the corporate stuff and the top stuff, I'm ready, even on certain levels. Like I'm ready to speak, I'm ready to talk, I'm ready to do. But if not, you always got to just plan your own thing. And then, at least I have a platform now where no one can really block my light. And same with you. Whereas maybe 5-10 years ago, record labels, like I didn't have an outlet. And then like YouTube came around. So we're blessed in a way of probably 10 years ago, if they didn't want us to be there, no one would even know about us at all. But nowadays, because of Facebook and stuff, we're able to surpass that. And at a certain time, tables always turn. So I'm just hoping they don't turn on your boy. I gotta stay blessed.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, no, and you're right that my original walkaway video, I mean, I never would have had a forum to communicate that message or those feelings without YouTube and without the internet and, social media, when they're not like suppressing people like us. But yeah, if we had to rely on in the past on mass media making the decision for us about what we're allowed to say or what we're allowed to hear, who's allowed to rise up, it sure as hell would not have been me. And I doubt if it would have been you either, because they would have just been like, no, this is not a marketable message that we want to put out. But I mean, look how marketable it is when the people get to decide for themselves, what they want to hear. And people want to hear what you have to say, and they want to hear what I have to say, because there's a lot of people who feel the way that we do, and they're underrepresented.
Absolutely.
They're underrepresented.
And it's good what you did, like multiple things. One, when the walkaway came out, it let a lot of other people tell their story using the hashtag. And then also you've been more than kind to a lot of people to, boost their platform a lot. Like when I saw your video and Candace's video, it was like, I knew it was special. So to me, I always couldn't stand the people that never shared the light with me. And like, even when it was good enough. So I was like, you know what? I don't want to be another person like that. Cause there's so many people that do that, hold on to it themselves, don't share it. And then, don't recognize greatness when it's like, if it's right, it's right. So when I saw you and Candace, I was like, that's a really great message. And, I'm lucky enough between that and World Cloud to have something that could build a lot of people up. And that's my most favorite part, where it's like, okay, if they're not going to do it, I'm going to do it. And you've taken that original video that spread on Twitter, spread on YouTube, spread on Facebook, and then you've opened it to everybody else. And I thought that was cool. I don't know, was that intentional or not, the way everyone started using the hashtag and uploading their own story? Because next thing you know, there's thousands of walkaways, and like very diverse without forcing it. It's like people are like, what? These people walked away? And it's like just great people. I'm in the music industry, Black woman, just like nose ring, like where it's just like normal people that you're friends with that are like, oh yeah, that's me.
That was I mean, sorry, like not to toot my own horn, but you did just that. Like, yes,
yeah,
that was totally intentional. Yeah.
Then that's genius then. Cause I was like, either that was like a blessing, which you made happen either way, but in that planning, that's next level planning, and it's really great.
Thank you. No, so what happened was on May 26th of 2018, I put out that video. I made the video earlier in the month of May, and then I made the intentional decision to release it the day before Memorial Day, which Memorial Day was on May 27th. So I put it out the Sunday before Memorial Day, and I told everybody, it's kind of funny, like in retrospect, like I must have just had this sixth sense that it was going to work, or this instinct that it was going to work, because like honestly, I had at that time like 40 Twitter followers. Honest to God, I had like 40 Twitter followers. I'd created this Facebook page, which at the time I called the Unsilent Minority, but now I just changed it to Brandon Strzok. But the Unsilent Minority had, I think, less than 100 followers. And so I made my video. I put it out on May 26th, and I told everybody, hey, I'm starting this thing that I'm calling the Walkaway Campaign. I created a Facebook group for it. I was like, please join this Facebook group. It's called Walkaway Campaign. And I was like, and I want all you guys to make your own testimonial videos, like whether you're walking away from the Democratic Party or liberalism, or whether you're on the right and you just need to make a testimonial about taking back the narrative of what it means to be a conservative, because that's been hijacked by the liberal media. You know, everyone's calling you guys racists and bigots and homophobes, but I've spent the last year getting to know conservatives really well, and I've found that that's not true. And I think that if other, gay people and black people and brown people knew that you guys were not the people that the media says that you were, they might feel more inclined to also consider walking away, because a lot of them are ready to walk away too. So yeah, so I was telling people, make your videos and then put them here and use the hashtag walk away, and like, do it on YouTube and do it on Twitter and stuff. But the home base was that Facebook group, like initially. And that's why I kind of lost my mind when the hashtag took off so much, because, we were starting kind of small. And for the first like month or so, it was like building. But, the testimonials were trickling in and we were starting to gain momentum. But then somehow the hashtag itself just went crazy on Twitter. And people like Donald Trump Jr. and James Woods and, all of these like really high profile people were like, hashtag walk away. And I'm like, no, you don't even know. It's like a testimonial campaign. Like people are making videos and stuff. And so I was really worried about trying to get control of it. And finally the, Fox News came and gave me a break. And then I was able to let people know, like, no, go to Facebook. Like people are making videos. This is like a movement. This is like a whole thing,
Yeah. No, the planning was great. I always joke around because I get a lot of emails, and most of them are just like really nice people saying nice things, and I appreciate those. But as far as business inquiries, I would say maybe like 2 people did out of so many, where it's like an email that's well spoken, well written, just like it was all there. Whereas with tweets and stuff, I think the original walk away, it was at me, James Woods, a few people, where people tag me and stuff a lot, but not that much, and you were pushing it, and I just finally watched it and I was like, all right, this is good, but it's like a lot of people don't have one of the 4 things, where you just kind of crushed every element of it, from pushing it out to having the good video, then to planning it, and then it just built, and then people just like the hashtag was a hit for people to use, because it's like walk away. So I think James Woods probably helped it when he started using it. Everyone, I mean, it was well planned. That's why I was always curious, just in my own. I was like, either way, it was flawlessly planned. But I was like, did he plan for the video testimonials to come out? If so, next level. If not, just still cool.
No, thank you. I definitely did. And that post that I put out on May 26th, it's like a long Facebook post where I explained, first of all, why I was walking away, and then I explained what I had hoped would happen with the campaign. And I even said in that post too, I was like, I really hope that like LGBT people and people of color will step up, and like, because we're the ones probably more than anybody that need to make these testimonials, because people like me, like I'm a gay person, like it was a nightmare for me. Like it was a nightmare for me when I realized I could no longer be a Democrat, because I was like, this is not a joke. I literally went through this phase where I was like, should I just pretend like I'm a Democrat, even though I know I'm not, like, just so that my life will be easier? Because I was like, how am I as a gay man in New York City going to be a conservative and be around like other gay, like no gay people are going to like me, or, and so I was like, maybe I'll just pretend, like, maybe I'll just, like, when they're bashing Trump, I'll be like, I know, doesn't he suck? And then, like, go vote for him. But I just thought, there's got to be other people who are feeling the way I'm feeling. And that goes for black people and brown people and white people and straight people. Like, if we all kind of come together and speak up and support each other and almost make this sort of unspoken pact, like, we're in this together. We're a family. Like, we're gonna have each other's backs. We're gonna use this hashtag walk away, and we're gonna support each other. And if we do that, then we can change the world. You know what I mean? Like, we can change, like, the stigma about being a Trump supporter, and definitely about being a minority who's a Trump supporter. And I think we're doing that.
Absolutely. And thank you for having the courage to do that, because there are a lot of people that can't because of their job or just don't want to do it. But that breakthrough has helped a lot of people break through. Some people have been asking in the comments, besides pretty much everything under the sun that doesn't even have to do with us. I'm reading the comments now. I'm like, man, they've pretty much mentioned everything ever. But the AOC thing. So I put it in the title, and I believe you tweeted, I might have to run against her because it is my district. And we've spoken about it a little bit, but how serious are you about that? Because if anybody, I think you could really, knock her down a peg and potentially win over the district if you choose the life of a AOC or a congressman.
If I choose the life of an AOC, I don't want to choose that life. But no, all right. So here's the deal. In a nutshell, I'm considering it very, very strongly. That being said, walk away is almost 8 months old now. Like I said, I put it out on May 26th. And despite all that we've accomplished, having thousands and thousands of testimonials, we now have about 400,000 people who have joined on all social media platforms. We did a march on Washington. We've done speaking engagements across the country. We had this event with Dinesh D'Souza. We have all this stuff coming up. I've still never gotten a call from anybody in the GOP being like, hey, this is great what you're doing. Anything we can do to help? Or like, maybe, you've got all these people walking away from the Democratic Party, and like literally all the GOP needs is a net. They just like need a net.
Absolutely, yeah.
But they haven't even contacted me. Nothing. And so if it's a situation where that's going to be the response of the GOP, there's no way. I mean, if it's going to be like another walkaway where I say, hey, I think it's my civic duty to run against this woman because I think she's dangerous and I think she has no business being in office. And I truly believe, and there's no ego here, but I mean, it's just like a logical fact. I think I'm probably the only person that could beat her in New York, just given that I have this movement behind me. I have social media behind me. Mm-hmm. I think I have an interesting presence that resonates with people, regardless of skin color, regardless of minority status or sexual orientation. And I think that I could really, truly beat her. And I'm a New Yorker, so that I could literally run against her, from the zoning, the requirement. But okay. I'm not going to do it if they're going to leave me out to dangle by myself, the way that they've been completely uncommunicative about walk away or wanting to support me doing this. I mean, if people from the GOP got in touch with me and said, hey, this is important. What do you need? How can we back you up? How can we support you? I'll go all in, but no, I'm not going to do it by myself. And that's honestly, I have no reason to believe that they would support me. So
I feel your frustration because it's like the GOP, literally Trump snatched it up. Like besides Rand Paul, there's Devin Nunes. There's a few people, Matt Gaetz, there's some Jim Jordan, they got a little spunk to them, but like Trump swallowed the party alive because there was nothing really going on. Like Mitt Romney, McCain, like they weren't doing it. And now in hindsight, they weren't really even conservative or a patriot, in my perspective, but there's not that much going on. So it is a little frustrating even for me. Cause like, even speaking events and shows, I don't need to be on, I'm okay. But it's like, I mean, you guys need some help a little, you're not reaching out. No offense to Tommy and Ann, they serve their part and they're definitely trailblazers. So I'm not knocking them down, but it's like my friends in the rap community see Tommy Lauren and they can't stand her because her message is not, you know, portrayed in a way. And I like Tommy. I've seen her speak, and she really impressed me with Chelsea Handler, way better than I thought she did. So I think she is good, but it's like you could use the help. And with you, like, you know, I get why you feel that way. I'm the type too. I'm not, you know, I'm not cocky, but if I'm going to go in, I'm not trying to lose anything I do. So it's like I'm going to win. And you are already one of the most interesting people in the GOP. Like Dan Crenshaw has some, like he's got the eye patch. He's common sense, although I don't agree with him. Like he's already like the coolest person in the GOP just because he has an eye patch, and it's kind of cool. It's like they need help. That's why it's so frustrating. It's like if it was just about me, I'm fine. I'll go for a jog. You know, I'll come back in. I'll make a video. But like, what are you thinking? Like, why? Like between the walk away and even some of my videos, Candace's, and both of which I really helped. It's like we kind of revolutionized the whole GOP one way or another. Whether you take one of our three, you know, it's three of the biggest things that have probably ever happened online for your party. That's fine, but it's like, what else do you need? Like, we're already more popular than every Republican politician by mistake. It's like, why would they not support you? So if you run, I'll walk away again, and I'll yell at them with all my platforms until I'm like, dude, this guy's like your best, like you're already going to be top three, like coolest Republicans of the modern era. And it's just like, yeah, they definitely annoy me. It's like without Trump, that's why I love him so much. I'm like, dude, without him, he's the coolest cat in the whole bunch. Like you guys are slipping.
Yeah, the thing is with him though, he didn't need anybody, you know, financially, or you know, he was able to be completely self-sufficient, and you know, even I'm sure, you know, he can even pay for his own advisors. He can even pay for his own research team. He can even pay, you know, I can't do all that stuff, you know?
Yeah.
And at this point, AOC has that, you know, and listen, conservatives can make fun of her as much as they want and say, oh, she's so stupid. She's an idiot. She's, you know, whatever. And you know, and they're obviously, you know, I'd be lying if I didn't say that there are times she says stuff and I'm like, wow, did you really just say that? But you know, I don't know everything either. You know, like I would need, like I never in my life dreamed I was going to be a politician or that I would run for office. I would need advisors. I would need, I can't do that by myself, and I can't afford that. So, I mean, it's like if I was given, you know, I think the proper support and, you know, the right team kind of, you know, steering me. But I mean, consider this too. I mean, she doesn't just have the full support of the liberal media, which she does. I mean, they prop her up. They never call her out when she says or does something stupid, and they give her a platform whenever she wants. But then on the flip side, although she's constantly ridiculed on Fox News, she's still on Fox News every single day, every day. So whether it doesn't matter where you fall on the political spectrum, she's on your TV screen every single day, or your phone every single day. And I don't know. I mean, like if I ran for office, would Fox News have me on to talk, like, or, you know, which is not, I'm not saying that they never have me on, but it's like,
no, I know what you're saying. Any press is good press. And like to not, I always, people get mad, but like not to pick on him because he obviously doesn't need my help anyway. But Ben Shapiro, it's like, he seems like a PR team for AOC because they always talk about it. And it's like, really? And it's like, I get it. It's funny, and so does Fox News, but any press is good press. That's why Trump won. Certain people, I don't think they really care. Like, you know, like Shapiro, obviously he is pushing a conservative agenda in some sorts, but he's not really that into Trump anyway. So it's like, you know, he's got his own operation going. But like Fox News, like, do you want to help Trump or do you want to make her more famous? And all conservatives on the ground level, I always say, you got to make a compelling argument, not just like a mean meme or like, because honestly, sometimes she actually makes sense. And like, she's resonating with kids. She's good at Instagram. She's good at social media. Sometimes I love James Woods, but he posted a tweet from her where she was like, in DC, basically it was her sitting down and she was like, in DC, you know, I feel like every time I go out, I might be spied on. And it's not like New York City, like every coffee shop, and everyone's making fun of her. And I was like, honestly, that's kind of relatable. Cause like if me and you were a politician, went to DC, I'd probably think the same thing. I'd be like, who can I trust? So it's like you're promoting her and you're actually making her look likable. So I try to get through to people. I mean, we can mention certain things here or there. I could talk about it. You could build off of what AOC has made and put yourself in that discussion by running against her, like maybe that's a press strategy. But a lot of people have a blind strategy of free promotion, and that's what got Donald Trump powerful. And it's AOC is already the most popular, powerful leftist, and all the kids my age know about her. All my friends that are like half right, half left, in the middle, they all like her, you know, just because they're not that savvy with you know, I guess policies and stuff. So it's totally true, and I'll do what I can. I mean, I've always shown love. I'm only one man though, and I'll scream till the cows come home. It's like, guys, don't make the same mistake that literally helped get Trump elected. Because if she or Bernie is president, I'm gonna cry like a liberal. I'm gonna cry like a Sour Patch liberal tart or whatever they call them.
No, yeah,
exactly. There, thank you. I needed that.
But the I think that people, you know, in the conservative movement also need to have a little more self-awareness, you know, and like that even goes for Fox News. Like, let's say with her, for instance, I understand. Look, at the end of the day, you know, this is Fox News is a corporation, just like any other news outlet is a corporation. They have to make money and they need ratings, and I totally get it. I totally get it. And I think that talking about her, it brings in ratings. Like I totally get it. But you also have to know, like, young people are conditioned to believe that Fox News is evil, that they always lie, that they're all bigots, that they're all just like white people who hate anybody who's not white. You know, this is like what young people think. So it's like when you're constantly making fun of her, you're sort of reinforcing this idea to young people because they love her. It doesn't matter how dumb you think she is. It doesn't matter how unprepared you think she is, or how wrong you think she is for the job. Young people love her. And so what you need to do is find a way to effectively communicate with young people. That's how you combat. You don't combat her by making fun of her. You combat her by beating her at her own game, which means you've got to figure out a way to establish connection with young people.
Absolutely. And you go ahead.
No, and I think that a way to do that is to talk more to people like you, or to talk to people like me, or to, you know, and stop having the same people on every day who are just screaming the same inflammatory talking points, and like actually maybe prop up people who are actually having success at communicating with these demographics that no one else in the conservative movement is having success at doing.
I'm gonna just resonate on that real quick, because that's like music to my ears. Brandon, I mean, I knew you were crushing it, and we've literally met. I knew you're a good guy, but you really get it on every level. Like, and we've never had this long of a discussion really where it's like, you get it. That's exactly what they have to do, because they have a crowd, but if you look at statistics, young people are more left-leaning. Young people do not like Fox statistically. It's a lot of elderly, which is fine. I'm not like the left, burn them down. God bless our elderly. I'm sorry that the left's so crazy, but that's the end game. It's like, how do we get new followers? How do we deprogram the AOC followers to understand? You don't do it by being like, she's so dumb, blah, 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 blah. And then it's like, duh, like, then you get conservatives all mad, and then they're like, yeah, ever, and then like, but you're not actually doing anything. And I say these things, people get mad at me. They're like, but one more meme, An0maly. I'm like, you can post as many AOC memes, but just try to make sure they're funny. I know funny's perspective, so maybe I didn't get it, but someone else got it. But like at a certain point, it just I call it Ilhan Omar or AOC derangement syndrome, where just because you don't like somebody doesn't mean everything. Like, that's why when James Woods tweeted that, you would probably watch it, like, because we're in the same sort of world where it's like, it was extremely relatable. It wasn't like dumb. I was like, that's honestly even now how I feel. I'm not paranoid, but like my reality is every time I walk outside, almost every time now, someone stops me. Like, you know, like it's getting crazy, which is amazing, and it's all for the love. But I think like that. I'm like, why, you know, like I'm just keeping my eyes peeled. So you get it, man. And that was like music to my ears. Finally, somebody on the right who's saying what needs to be said.
No, I agree. And you're right. I do feel that way. I sometimes in my everyday life now, I'll approach somebody to, you know, say, how much does this cost? Or do you know which way Leroy Street is? And they'll be really rude to me. And I'm like, Are you being rude to me because you know who I am? Or are you being rude to me because you're a New Yorker and you're rude?
I was just gonna say, you are in New York. I mean, you get
Right.
the bluntness, like, get the out of here, get out of here, go get the other pizza. I can
Right.
do that because I'm from the East Coast and I'm part Italian. Or else it might be racist if we were on the right or the left.
Yeah, exactly. I was gonna say something about there was another issue. If we can just like toss in, I know where we are on time, but I just want to try to throw this.
I'm chilling, yeah. So I don't have a life. I'm a loser. I just make YouTube videos and occasionally eat food.
Well, you've got a big audience, and I feel like your audience will resonate with what I'm about to say, and I'm trying to kind of spread this idea around as much as possible because I want more conservatives to grab onto this. And that is, just like we're talking about Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, I really want conservatives to rethink the ways in which they approach and talk about transgender issues. And now, let me be really clear on this. I'm not saying that they need to rethink their stance on transgender issues. I'm saying they need to rethink the way they communicate and talk about it. And the reason why I say this is, and again, it's just like AOC. Young people hate it when people talk trash about transgender people. Again, you don't have to change your mind about however you feel politically about transgender people. And I've got my own opinion. Like, for me, I personally believe that some people are born in the wrong body and that can be corrected. And that I believe that a woman is sometimes born in a man's body and can have a surgery and become a woman and vice versa. And I personally don't have any problem with calling somebody that was born male she if they transition and vice versa. I do have a problem when people start saying that they're multiple genders or no genders and that they need to be called by special words and pronouns, and that you're a bigot if you don't refer to them as they or them or z or zer or them or whatever. I think that's nonsense and I refuse to participate and I won't do it. However, like when I saw this video recently of this person who was clearly born male, I mean, it was very obvious that this was a biological man, but he was trying to present as female, okay? And going into we all saw the video, going into some sort of retail store, and the person and this transgender person, let's be clear, this transgender person was acting like an asshole. I mean, they were totally acting like an asshole, screaming at the salesperson and being a jerk. But the salesperson kept saying, sir, sir. And the transgender person's like, I am a female. I am a transgender female. Like, don't call me sir. And the person kept doing it. And then I saw all these conservatives whom I respect passing this video around and being like, this is hilarious. This is hilarious. This man, is, capitalizing the word man and saying, this guy, capitalizing the word guy, wants to, whatever. And I'm like, this isn't winning us young voters. Like, this is not changing people's mind, and it's like, we really have to have a reckoning within the conservative movement and ask ourselves, what do we want? Do we want to win elections and do we want to change people's minds, or do we want to make fun of transgender people and capitalize the word man and sir when we're referring to them? And it's like, also, are we 13 years old? Like, you know what I mean? But it's just like,
absolutely, yeah.
We need to pick our battles here and decide, again, if it goes against your personal moral philosophy to believe that some people are transgender, then I have to accept that. I don't agree with that, but I have to accept that. And that's cool. I'm not trying to make you change what you think is right or wrong. I'm saying maybe don't act like a 13-year-old and, make it a point to repost trolling videos against transgender people because it's making young people hate us.
Man, you nailed it. More music to my ears because my stance is very similar to yours. First off, she dropped a rap. It's Ma'am dropped a rap, and it's actually fire. Like, I actually might rap battle It's Ma'am. They reached out to me, they're friends, and that she wants to rap battle me, or he, if you guys are still mean. But so I might legitimately rap battle It's Ma'am, and that would be hilarious. But I agree with the sense of I don't agree with 20 genders. It's getting ridiculous, and even with the the third option on a driver's license, I'm a little confused by that. But I do believe, like people say, no, there's no possible way. There's babies born with deficiencies. There's babies born with there's Siamese twins. There's very rare things that happen that aren't supposed to happen. So I see no reason why I don't think that there could be men born in a woman's body, women's born in a man. I do think it's very rare, but I think it can happen. And at that point, it's like, are you a bully or are you a kind person? So I want to help. I have friends that are trans, that I've met before and I've gone on hikes with, and they're very chill. And, some are smart and intelligent, and I'm sure some are extremely annoying, just like anyone else. So it's like, I'm just a nice person. And that's why I ran away or walked away from the left, where it's just like, it became not loving and compassionate. And that's what I liked about it. Like literal love, not just like, we love to hate. And you're like, all right, you guys lost it. So these are separate issues though, where I do believe there is a lot of LGBT propaganda that they're overdoing it to children and trying to confuse them. So it's like, I think a lot of conservatives don't know how to separate the issues. They're like, no, I don't want the speech laws. I don't want that. Me neither. No speech laws, no 5,000 genders. We probably should have just stopped at T. Like the Q and the I and the O, they lost me with all those letters. Like, honestly, 100%. We could have just stopped at the LGBT. That's enough. I refuse to accept any of those new letters. That covers it all. If you're not gay or bi or lesbian or trans, you could probably fall under one of those categories if you keep it real with yourself. So it's like, I don't like the speech laws. But I didn't like the memes either. I thought it was kind of mean. Like certain ones were a little bit funny. Like very well, the Aquaman one was pretty funny. But overall, it is cyberbullying in a way where it's like, it's just mean. And what you touched on, the most important issue is like, yes, stand up against propaganda. Don't let them destroy science and everything, but be a little kind. Think that maybe there are things where people are born in the different body. I find that it could be highly possible. And I always say, I don't know you and I don't know other people. So I just keep it real with yourself. And, it's like, if you're lying to yourself, don't lie to yourself. And if that's the truth, then that's the truth. Who am I to tell you who you are? I think it's very possible. But the most important thing that I think conservatives don't get on this is it's not a winning strategy, which you nailed. Right. If you don't agree with any of the stuff we said, please just agree that it's a really bad strategy. And it's not just because of the trans or the gay community. There's maybe 40-50% of the population, higher if we talk about young kids, who don't want to see people bullying trans and gays. And I don't really want to see it either. And so it's like, you're turning off so many people when they turn on Fox News or they turn on a conservative and that's what they see. You might damage them forever, where if we really want to win, we have to reach out and effectively fight the propaganda where they are. I do believe trying to like pervert kids, where it's like, no kid should really learn about sexuality that early, where they're like, you're trans. And it's like the kid's 3 years old. It's like, all right, slow your road a little bit, crazy San Francisco mom. Like, yeah, you're going too far. But yeah, the right does go too far. So I'm glad you brought that up, because I agree almost 100% with what you said. And it seems to be very uncommon on the right, but the truth isn't always popular.
Well, and I think that's why I made it such a point to stress that you don't have to change your values. I mean, I personally think it would behoove a lot of people to rethink those values, because I don't think that they really are in alignment with reality, and I don't think they're helpful. But at the end of the day, it's up to everybody to decide for themselves what their values are, what their morality is, and what works for them. And I respect that and I appreciate that. But it's just like you said. I mean, at the end of the day, we're talking about strategy, and it's not a winning strategy to keep engaging these behaviors that at this point totally turn off young people. And and that's the I mean, if we could, young people hate voting Republican. I mean, they hate if they even vote, but it's like that's a demographic we have to win over. We have to rebrand ourselves, and that this is not a good part of rebranding.
Absolutely. I'm reading the comments too, because some people were saying, there's all sorts of things. Some people agree, some people disagree, and that's fine. That's what it's about. But I saw some people saying, it's called integrity. Someone said, and they said, I don't want to change my beliefs. Well, here's my thought. If you truly believe that there is no such thing as trans, or that there is no such thing as gay, or whatever your belief is, then if you really want to help, it would be through discussion and common sense and a valid argument that would make somebody see what you're saying. So even if you don't agree with it, I think there's a better strategy to try to win people over. Like I said with Daryl Davis and the KKK, he was a black man who got 100 KKK members to quit. Like, by being super cool and super reasonable. So if you want to get through to a gay or a trans, like, and I'm sure they would appreciate it, just be reasonable and explain it and make your argument. Don't make it full of emotion. And other people said, who's doing the bullying? This is like a rare conversation, so it's like we're not covering all angles of it. Of course, me and Brandon understand that the left is being probably the craziest bullies, but that doesn't, you can't fight fire with fire. It's like, well, AOC is terrible, so I'm going to talk about this. It's like, just because she's wrong about all these things doesn't mean you can lie and make up something that's not true. Just point to the thing that's wrong. Like, I don't understand that strategy where I'm not saying you have to agree, but think about how you present it. Because if I truly, maybe some people just like to be mean, or, you know, or some people are so maybe angry and hurt themselves because the, you know, liberal media has gone full psycho that they're mad. That's why I always try to preach a message of like, don't be too mad, don't be too angry, because once you let that emotion in, you become like a liberal and you start racist, sexist, and then it's like, it's not a good look for anyone. So just consider it. And someone said, please stop babying people. I'm not saying to baby people. I'm just saying to be effective, I think there's strategies to it. I'm reading some of the comments. I understand. I've been saying a lot of unpopular things the last couple of weeks, and there's certain topics I touch on myself that are like 95% unpopular, but I'm not gonna.
But wait a second, I just want to say, like, I'm, you know, and I'm not trying to like start anything with somebody who's watching this, but it's like, it's been my experience since I've kind of had a prominent voice in this movement that the people who are saying, the people who come out really hardcore, oh, don't baby people, don't, you know, no, you know, they end up being the most delicate people in the world when it comes to their own opinions being challenged. I mean, that's what I find is like, it's easy to say don't baby people when you're a room full of people who agree with you, but it's like, you know, at some point in life we're all going to be amongst people who have different opinions than we do, and it's like I hope that, you know, that rule applies to you too when everybody, you know, you're in a situation where you're the minority opinion, you know. And I don't know, I mean, for me, it's the whole transgender thing. It's weird because I'm not a religious guy. I was raised Catholic my whole life, and, you know, I never questioned Catholicism because it was sort of, I mean, I don't mean this in a bad way, but like kind of indoctrination. You know, when people start telling you about God and Christianity from the moment you're alive, these aren't your own original thoughts. I mean, that's what my parents taught me. Like, I used to go to bed every night. My mom would read us Bible stories when we went to bed. And then I would go literally to Catholic school from kindergarten through 12th grade. And so it was a tiny little town in Nebraska that I lived in where almost everyone was Catholic. So it's like, I didn't even think that there was any alternative to, like, that was God. Like, God was God, the God I learned, whatever. But then as I got older, I started to kind of change my mind on it. And I've kind of been back and forth between, like, how do I feel about God? I know I'm not religious, whatever. Anyway, the reason why I'm saying all this is I'm not the most religious guy, and I'm not even the most faithful guy. But it's interesting with the transgender thing. I've always just intrinsically felt like there was a spiritual explanation for me. Like, I always just felt like the soul, or the part of us that goes on beyond whatever happens in this world, I think has a gender. I think that women spiritually stay women and men spiritually stay men. And so I think the soul, I think the essence of the soul has a gender. And I just think that for some people, like when I see a transgender woman, for instance, yes, there's the part of me physically that sees a biological man that has transitioned, obviously. But what I try to remind myself is that spiritually, that's a woman. That's a woman who was just born in a man's body. And so I want to treat that woman as I would treat any other woman. Just this woman happened to be born in a man's body, you know? And like, there are people in this world who are intersexed, which means they're born with both sex organs. And in a lot of those situations, they have to wait until the person is old enough to be able to determine what their actual gender is. So that's spiritual. I think that's spiritually, there's a gender there. And then once the person's gender is determined, they can have a surgery to get rid of what they don't need or whatever. I mean, that's a scientific thing that really happens. People are
interested. They have two like private parts or whatever.
Yeah, if people look at, they used to call it a hermaphrodite, but now they call it intersex. And
those are real scientific things. It's like anomalies to toot my own horn. No, but a scientific anomaly. It's like these things do happen, like Siamese twins. If you ask someone, could a kid have two heads? You'd be like, no, that's not right. But it's like not everyone's right, and some of the greatest people are not right. And that's my favorite part about a lot of great. They're like, why do they do this and that? I'm like, because they're crazy. But that's why they're crazy good. It's like if they weren't crazy great, they wouldn't. They're like, I want Trump to do that, but not do all this other stuff. I'm like, you can't have the ham without the cheese, or what? That's a horrible analogy, but you know what I'm saying. And overall, I do find like there is a lot of I keep it real with myself, and I'm responsible for myself, and I'm comfortable and I'm confident in my feelings and thoughts and stuff. And I feel like even people get in politics on the left and the right, one of the big flaws is that people think I'm a liberal and I'm so great because of my thoughts. And there's people who are conservative who are like, I like Trump, so I'm so much better than liberals because I'm smarter. And part of it might be true on both sides, but overall, if you kind of think you're good because you're always putting others down and judging others, I find that a lot of those people are some of the weakest people, and they don't want to, self-reflect. So they are constantly judging and hating on others. But the most strongest and most confident and most happy and successful people I find, they're not very judgmental, because we're not God. I'm not God, so I don't judge others. That's his goal, and my goal is to help and heal. And if somebody has any problem, whether it be physical, psychological, or something, to try to help that problem, if that's how I feel about that certain situation. So sometimes the most judgmental people are spending too much time on others, and that's the vibe I get, with certain people. And I think some people misconstrued, or they don't care, but it's like, I've done a lot, and I'm confident in my stances, and it is what it is. But I have a lot of them, and a lot of times people don't agree, but it doesn't, it is what it is.
Some of these comments are hysterical. Like I am
Are you
like,
reading them?
yeah, people are all over the map with their opinions on what we're talking about, but it's pretty funny. Like I
Yeah.
like it when people make fun of me, by the way. Just like, can we go on record as saying like I love being the butt of the joke? Like that's my favorite thing. So
Well, yeah, my audience, especially on YouTube. I mean, there's certain things I talk about. I've been talking about Louis Farrakhan a lot, and I actually enjoy his sermons. So that's like 98% unpopular on the right. So almost everybody that watches me disagrees, with like maybe like 10 people who agree with me. But it's kind of the similar thing where I'm confident in my beliefs. So if somebody's differs, but I just don't. I don't think it's a good strategy, or it makes any sense to like bully or hate on others. I think the LGBT community and the liberals are being psycho. I totally agree. But it's like, am I going to let that affect my life? Am I going to become a bully and nasty and negative and hateful because of them? No, that's what weak people do. That's a weak tactic, and people can lie to themselves, but I tell the truth to myself. So I sleep well every day, where other people, they could say what they want and yell at me and call it racist, sexist, xenophobic. But when it comes down to the hard facts of what I'm saying and, the doors I'm leaving open, most people don't really, have a valid argument. It's more just like, and there's other people too. I mean, a lot of people here, they listen to other people, and a lot of people just follow exactly what those other people say, where I like to listen and learn to everybody. So that's what, but I think that's why they come here, because they know they're going to get something different and something rare. Someone said, pray for Terrence Williams real quick, and I'm going to put it over. Terrence got in a car accident today. I believe his Lyft driver got in an accident, and he tweeted like, I can't breathe. And then people thought he was joking, because he is hilarious. And yeah, dude, the car was like totaled. So definitely pray for Terrence, man. That's really sad.
oh no, I didn't know that happened. Sorry, bless me. Wow.
God bless.
Thank you.
I have a confession to make, guys, real quick. I'm trans. I'm transitioning. And if you guys don't agree with my transition, you guys are gay. That's to my audience.
But wait a minute. Were you born? Are you becoming a woman or a man? Which one? How were you born?
Well, I think I might become a woman, because like being a man, and I'm part Spanish, and some people could see it, but like if I go back here, you could see a little darker. But like when I'm up here, it looks light. So it's not a good time to be a straight white man. So I might switch it up. Try to get some airtime on MSNBC.
Yeah. Now I've noticed that you're getting kind of like scruffy and like kind of dark and edgy, right? Is there, what's going on there? I mean,
Yeah.
very like Jesus-y and like.
Yeah, I mean, the Jesus thing is it just naturally occurred, but I just kind of didn't shave for a while, and then I was gonna shave because I was like, I don't usually like a month before this I shave, but then like it got to a point where like it stopped being crazy because that's how even my hair is. Like it gets crazy, 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 and then it falls and looks good. So I was like, I was waiting, and I was like, oh, this doesn't look good. But then it got to a point where I was like, oh, this is kind of a vibe now, but it's still a little scruffy, but. I'm just like, it's people care more than me. They're like, dude, cut your hair. I love your hair. I was like, I'm just vibing out, and then eventually I'm going to cut all my hair off, and then I'm going to cut all this off, and then I'm going to move to the jungle for a couple months, but I'll be back.
Well, I love your hair, and I don't think you should cut it. But
what about the facial hair? No?
It's not bad. I mean, the thing is, you're very, very handsome, so you're always going to look good no matter what. But I'm just not really like a beard guy.
All right, well,
really great.
I didn't transition yet, so you got to hold up. No, just.
Did you wear braces?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, at a certain point.
How do you don't remember if you wore braces or not?
No, I did wear braces. Yeah. It's confirmed. I said, yeah, that was a broad answer. Yeah, I wear braces.
Because everyone always talks about how nice your teeth are.
Yeah, I wear braces, but also my mom she's not a dentist, but she works in dentistry. So she's like works at an office. So I always had the dentist hookup. Thank you, Mom, or else I'd probably be a hillbilly loser. So my privilege is not in my skin color, it's in my mom and my dad. Good people.
Nice.
Yeah.
By the way, we love our hillbillies. Like hillbillies are not losers.
Yeah. No, I grew up on a farm. I am a loser. No, I'm just kidding. But
I grew up on a farm too. Where did you grow up?
New Jersey.
What kind of farm?
I moved a lot, so I've lived on like 3 different farms. The first one was my stepfather's a farm manager, so it was like emus and huge like cows with horns and like a lake. Like that was epic. They were just like crazy animals. I'd go to the bus stop and a turkey hen would run like in front of the bus, and everyone's like, who's this weird farmer kid? Because it wasn't even a farm town. I was like, hey guys, sorry. Like, so that, and then I moved on a farm with all vegetables and stuff, and I worked on a farm with probably illegals, but I don't know if I should say that. I'm gonna get arrested. No, but so that's why even before all the Democrats, I was like, man, as long like I'm okay with illegals, but I mean I'm not like okay with 20 million people, but I agree with conservatives on a lot, but I'm not mad at the people as much as I'm mad at maybe the politicians. It's not their fault per se. But
yeah, that's actually a really good point that you just made, because I think there's like also this misconception that conservatives are really, really heartless and like that they really hate illegal immigrants and stuff. And the truth is, like, I live in New York City. I know a lot of illegal immigrants. I know them. Like,
someone call ICE. No, I'm just playing.
Like, I'm not gonna like report these people. And one of them was one of my closest friends. I say was because he won't talk to me anymore since I started Walkaway, but which makes me really, really sad. But it's the same thing. Like I have no compulsion to like report people that I know that are illegal immigrants. Like I'm not going to do that. But I do think that we should try to prevent it from getting further out of control. I think it's already out of control, and it's like, but yeah, I mean, it's not like conservatives like can't be around an illegal immigrant with being like, oh, I've got to call ICE. Yeah.
And I'll say too, like I grew up I'm part Puerto Rican, and because people get confused, I say it a lot. I got to pull out my Puerto Rican card because there's no white privilege. There's only Hispanic privilege. So it's like, yo, get me into school. I'm Hispanic. No, jokes aside, a lot of truth there. But I'm part Puerto Rican, but my stepfather's 100% Mexican. And I grew up on a farm where everybody was Mexican. Like all my neighbors were Mexican. Like pretty much every way you looked, it was just Mexican. So Mexican that like Mexican trucks would come and like hand out this crazy like candy that you'd only find. Anyway, my neighbor got deported in 2002 or 2003, I don't know, under the Bush administration. And I'm not going to say nobody cared because obviously it was our neighbor and certain people, it was their family, but no one made a big deal about it because that's just like what it was. It's like, I mean, we weren't screaming and crying and like talking to CNN. It's like, well, he is illegal, so he went back to Mexico and life
Right.
moved on. Like, it's just like, even illegals and legal Mexicans, I mean, especially the 52 million or so Hispanics, some of them are the biggest Trump supporters because they're like, we came here legally. Like, why are we the same as them? We're totally different. But even then it was like not a big deal. So it's like, I get the fact that people, what I don't understand is the liberals who are like illegal, like they like illegals more than citizens. They're like, open the border, tear down the fence. All they've done is made me like, I'm like, all right, build the wall, like stop being crazy. And honestly, like, yeah, we probably have too many. It's like at a certain point, I understand the demographic shift. I understand the economic effect. And also, the crime of Mexico is higher than it's ever been in recorded history. We're incentivizing people to come over. So there might be a majority of people who are nonviolent and helpful. But if you keep promoting it and being like, let's get a caravan of 20,000 people, it's like, let's not. Oh, well, I don't want the military there. Well, I do, because I don't want 20,000 people coming. So it's like the left has lost me completely. And this isn't coming from a place of coldness. Like, I lived around all Mexicans and I worked with illegals. It's just like, even honestly, none of my Spanish friends now, I also play soccer, and everyone speaks Spanish. Like, no one acts like liberals. Like, it's just like a foreign, I'm like, no one acts like, oh, well, I work for Huffington Post and my dad makes a lot of money and I went to NYU, which costs $50,000 a year. So I'm the voice of the Mexican community. I'm like, you're white, lady. Like, you're not even Mexican.
Totally. And yeah, I mean, I think it became a thing for them once they heard the word wall. There was something, and the only reason I say that is because this was at a time when I was still a liberal and I hated Trump. And I remember I remember distinctly when I started hearing stories during the campaign, like 2015 or something, and I think I first saw on CNN or something like, Trump declares that he's going to build a wall, and I remembered feeling like that was disturbing. Like, I was like, a what? And that was my first thought too, was like, that is the most racist. Like, how could somebody even say that in 2019? How racist that is, whatever. And then of course, like now, after like talking to more conservatives and getting a little education and really understanding what the problems are that they don't really talk about, in terms of crime and human trafficking and heroin smuggling and this and that, like, there's like a huge need for it. But also, like, these people on the left, if it was, I always try to like use this like much smaller analogy, which I think kind of in a way brings it into perspective, but it's like they would never see it. It's like, if somebody threw a party, right, like at their house, if you have like a really nice house, and who cares if you earned the house or if you inherited it from your mom and dad, whatever, it's no one's business. It's your nice house. You have a nice house and you want to have a party, like a nice upscale party. And then there's like all these people who don't live in your community, that weren't invited to the party, the whatever, that are just like coming in the back door of your house. They're coming in the side window of your house. And they're like, well, I heard there's like a really great party here and I wanted to be at your party. And you're like, yeah, but you weren't invited and we don't know who you are and you don't have a right to be here. Like, no liberal in their right mind would be like, but they don't look like they have nice things, so they should be able to come to your nice party whether they were invited or not. Like, where's your heart? Whatever. It's like,
what liberals say is, well, we conquered this country, which is mostly true. So their logic is like, since we did that 300 years ago, we have to, like, what on the right wing they would call being a cuck, is like, we have to cuck out and just give up everything because we, like, it's a self-defeating mentality. It's like, well, my aunt, honestly, I'm not from America like 400 years back or anything. Like, my family didn't sail on the Nina Pinta Santa Maria personally, so I don't feel responsible. I'm pretty sure some of my family escaped like communism and stuff. So it's like, they're like, well, we did it, so let's just give up everything. It's a self-defeating ideology. It is a problem. Trump is like a bearer of bad true news. I never thought it was racist. I thought Trump was, but I was like, the wall, it's not my first priority, but it's not a big deal. But then I realized what a big deal it is, from heroin to fentanyl to human trafficking to, I guess I just assumed that politicians weren't really dumb and had actual fences or walls. But then you see certain clips and you're like, they didn't even have it. Like, I just assumed that they did. So it's like, Trump is like daddy. saying the things people don't want to hear. He's like, build now I'm just like, all right, build the wall and mold it together with tears. No, I'm just kidding. Not liberal tears. No, I'm just kidding.
But wait a minute. I mean, first of all, like, and I mean, it's just a sad reality of life on Earth, whether you're a human being or any other species or animals. I mean, conquering, conquest and conquering is just part of life, unfortunately. And like different civilizations and different people have been conquering other civilizations since the beginning of time. I mean, like, and it's probably really never going to end. I mean, yes, I think we should always strive to become more civilized and more evolved as time goes on. And I think that we have, but it's like, we didn't conquer America. I mean, Americans did not conquer America in its present condition. I mean, we may have come and taken the land from a people that was already here, and that may not have been the right thing to do, but we still built America. I mean, we didn't.
Well, that's what liberals want to do. They want us to like lose, you know, where it's like, I get it that life is crazy, but honestly, that narrative skewed anyway, because Native Americans were not like holding hands and just chilling. Although they did have cool culture, right. They were like murdering each other and they were savages. So we did that. Yeah. But liberals, they know this stuff. They literally like want us to lose. And I've gotten people where I like break it down a little bit and they're like, well, like white people should be enslaved, because like they literally want white people to be enslaved. So a lot of this stuff isn't coincidental. It's like self-defeating, like cucking mentality where it's like, you have sex with my wife, I don't want to anymore. And you're like, okay. So, you know, it's like a lot of that. I just want to read a comment real quick because it was hilarious. Someone said, An0maly, be honest, you're Guatemalan. I'm not Guatemalan, but I just thought that was hilarious. Like, so but go ahead.
I want to ask you, do you feel like your persona has changed at all in the last 6 to 8 months?
I mean, yeah, no, I don't think my persona has, but I do think I probably start using more humor now. I think I'm funnier and I'm more comfortable because I've been doing it for so long. So it flows a little more natural. And I think I make more jokes and maybe go stronger at certain points. But yeah, that might be perceived.
Because there's like, I remember before I started Walkaway, you were, let me tell you, I don't know if I ever told you this, so I'm going to tell you something in front of the whole world. When I was starting to like be red pilled and I felt myself changing, which happened really over the course of about a year, it happened over the course of 2017. I was trying to seek out other people who I felt like their values were like, they kind of spoke for my values. I guess I'll put it that way, because, you know, I was starting to research, you know, like the Ben Shapiros and the Ann Coulters and stuff like that. And although I thought that they were very logical, and I started to see that conservatism sort of made more sense to me logically than liberalism did, and that part was changing. I didn't really like the tone or the approach with which they delivered that message, and I didn't really feel like that spoke to me. And then I remember I saw you at one point, I'll never remember how, but I was like, see, and this is the reason why I asked the question, because I feel like when I first became aware of you, you were much more like groovy, chill, hippie guy, you know, like you were just like, it's all about the peace and love, man. And it's all about and you're still like that. Like, don't get me wrong, but I do feel like you're more edgy now than you used to be. And sometimes like you're even a little bit moody sometimes, which I like, because I feel like it's like different colors of you. But because I've watched a couple of broadcasts that you've done over the last like month or so. And there was one day, I think I even reached out to you that day and I was like, are you in a bad mood? Because you were like on your broadcast and you were kind of like going off a little bit. And I was like, wow, he's really like, it's not like the initial An0maly that I first saw that was always like very chill and very like kind of like zen and groovy, which again, you know, you still are, but I feel like there's more shades to you now, and perhaps even a little more darkness and edginess to some degree sometimes than there was.
No, valid observation. I would say at the very beginning, I was like how am I going to explain this without people losing their minds? So I was
Yeah.
like extra easing in on it because I was like, dude, people can't accept this basic truth. So I have to like slow it down and make it as chill as possible and easy to understand and like non-confrontational, because that's the only way I could get it across. And also personality wise, where I think even now I'm throwing people off because I do Facebook live streams and I'll also do YouTube live streams. And the YouTube live streams, I'll be funny. I'll get a little cranky and just have conversations. But I find, and like some people say, An0maly, they're too long, or I don't like that side of you. But I always say, watch the other videos. So now I'm just doing more content where I have like 100 or so 10-minute videos where I'm relaxed, calm. I don't curse. I don't say anything. Those are still available. So it's like people can watch those at any time. But these live streams, sometimes I like to give like business advice or something that like, not particularly business because I'm not really a businessman, but I try to tap into other things and different emotions and humor and stuff. And some people like love it and some people don't, but it is authentic where, I don't think I changed because I think I'm still just as chill and calm. But I do definitely like I even entertain myself where like I think it's funny to like argue with people. I find it really funny. Like there's this one guy named Infowars Bear, and he'll super chat the whole time and just like say things that are like sometimes really honest and sometimes like a little annoying. But I just find it like hilarious, like the back and forth. So part of it, it's definitely a change in approach. But I guess I have 4 different styles that I'll tap into, and the live streams I kind of just go full fledged. And also to be honest, like the evil has really where I don't want to lose my edge that makes people really like me. But when they're killing like in womb babies and like giving ISIS good press, it's like, okay, like you guys are bordering some really serious murky water here. So
Yeah, I saw that video that you did where you were talking about like the late term abortion, and who was it that was on The View, or Sandra Bullock?
yeah, the penis face
Ellen.
thing.
On
Yeah.
Ellen. Yeah. I watched it. I was watching that one when you were on the treadmill, or when I was on the treadmill, I was watching you. Yeah, that was a good one. Yeah, it's true. The abortion bills in New York and Virginia are crazy because it went so far with that it's now like we're not even really talking about abortion, which I think is interesting because I don't really know. I go back and forth with the issue of abortion. It's tough. Like, I recognize it's very difficult. Like, I'm not somebody who thinks that there's never ever a circumstance in which a person should never be allowed to have an abortion. Like, I can't from like a moral standpoint see how someone can force someone to carry a baby that they only have because somebody raped them in a dark alley, like at night. Like, that's crazy to me. But like, that's not even what we're talking about anymore. I mean, when we're talking about like a baby that's 9 months old inside its mother, or like the mother is like in labor and still has the option to say scramble its brains, like
Yeah.
that's a little insane,
Well, and they're giving good press to ISIS. Like they for a decade, they were doing nothing to stop ISIS, and even people like Rand Paul and Tulsi Gabbard, they passed this, or they tried to pass the Stop Arming Terrorists Acts because they thought that our government was arming terrorists. Trump gets in, defeats them. Now they're giving good press to ISIS. So I think a little bit of me too, not only getting older, more comfortable. Different live streams where now I don't just make things where I'll go for 2 or 3 hours, so you really get to like dive into different emotions. But it's like at a certain point, people sometimes perceive calmness and kindness as weakness and foolishness. And I'm no fool and I'm not weak, where it's like, if you guys are going to keep giving ISIS good press and murdering babies, like, we'll resuscitate the baby and then we'll decide. It's like, dude, you just said you're going to resuscitate a baby to life and then maybe murder it. Where it's like, I'm starting to prepare, not in like a horrible way, but it's like, if you guys are going to literally go the path of hell, where it's like everything wrong and bad, the worst people propping up, maybe you need a little bit more pressure, a little bit more emotion out of me. Because it's like at a certain point, you're not like here's the line, and like you guys are too close. So it's like back up.
Yeah, and it's like, listen, I'm not an obstetrician, okay? Like, I didn't go to medical school, but I think that if you're, 8 months along, 8.5, 9 months along, and you choose to have an abortion, you're going to have to give birth anyway. You know what I mean? It's like, it's what is going to be the difference in the labor process between that and having, it's like, just have the baby and give it up for adoption, for God's sake. If that, you know, it's like, you're going to have to go through labor anyway.
You have, what you have is like, obviously intelligence, but like basic common sense, where like you get it, where it's like, hey, I liked that, but I don't agree with that. Some people don't have that, and I'm starting to think it is like a spiritual battle, where it's like, that's why I always say it's a path to hell, where it's like, I'm not condemning somebody because they don't believe what I believe per se, but it's like, if you're gonna give ISIS good press and talk about resuscitating a baby and murdering it instead of just having it, like, who are you? You know, we could have a political debate. We could talk Democrat, Republican, high taxes, low taxes, but at a certain point, like, it just does seem pretty evil. And the media, like, you won't give Trump good press when he gets rid of North Korea and ISIS. Those were the two biggest things that they used to complain about: North Korea, ISIS, fear, be afraid, they're going to kill you. Now they're both gone, and they're like, shouldn't we let ISIS back into our country? It's like, F no. Like, no, what the, you know, so at a certain point, it's like, I almost feel like we've opened the floodgates of hell, and these people are going to test us, where it's like, listen, guys. And a lot of people on even the conservative side, it's like, they say things like, that's my problem with them, kind of like, you're like, they act all mean and stuff, but when it comes to real stuff, there's a lot of pushovers. Like, why am I making videos about that? Why do I have one of the biggest video talking about abortion? Like, I'm not a paid GOP person. I'm not a politician. Like, isn't that your job? You know, isn't that your passion? Like, who are you guys? Like, why did Trump win so easy? How come you're not backing him up or anyone else up? How come you guys are letting this happen? Like, why are you being so soft about it? So I feel like, you know, that's kind of kicked in with me as well, where it's like, how far are these people going to go? I'm optimistic, greatest time ever to be alive. But at a certain point, I had a conversation with Nuance Bro recently, a debate, where our society is hanging on a thread, like self-accountability, family, you know, basic core values of freedom, language, borders. These are the things that allow all this other stuff to happen, the liberalism, the openness. If we don't have that, if we have no borders, our language gets skewed, our culture gets skewed, demographics shift to the point where we don't enjoy what we enjoy now, which is basic freedom that people escaped from South America and Europe to get here, to leave a communist society. If we lose that, things are going to go very south very quickly. And I would already argue, as good as it is in certain areas, including food, nutrition, that, like, because of the media, a lot of it too, and what they promote, you know, like every aspect, it's starting to shift downwards. Education is going downwards. So as everything's great and liberalism is great, I do feel like at a certain point, we need to make some sort of a stand. And I guess I just have two sides of that, where it's like, one, you know, very relaxed video, no cursing. The other one, like, stop giving press to ISIS, stop murdering nearly born babies. Like, you're crossing the line. So, you know, I've definitely like raised the ante a little bit.
I'm starting to think that maybe, well, first of all, I think you should run for office. I think I should run for office. And then I think we should get a whole network of like YouTubers, and we should just all support each other, and we should all run for Congress. Maybe that'll be the new party. Maybe just like the internet party, like the YouTube party, like.
That's what the right, that's also what bothers me about the right. I'm glad you brought that up, because the left wing, they're kind of doing that with AOC, Bernie Sanders. Bernie Sanders raised $5 million in one day. And we talk about how great we are, the economy and stuff. I'm not Bernie Sanders. I'm not running for president. I'm not comparing, but I see progressive YouTubers that are my size, you know, maybe a little bigger on certain platforms, way smaller on certain platforms. They're getting $10,000, $15,000 a month on Patreon alone, where it's like, I'm not, like, not to compare, but they're not only supporting each other, they have databases. The Young Turks combined with Justice Democrats, they've built a network to vote for progressive communist socialists, and they're doing it. They're not winning yet, but they might. Whereas on the right wing, like, we got Shapiro, you got what you're doing, the Walkaway, we have like Turning Point, but I don't know if there's an actual network of people to vote for people that they want to. Alyssa Milano, all these celebrities, not her specifically, I'm not sure, but they're giving these people these cards. So last election, I'm at the polling booth and I see a bunch of young kids. I see no older kids. I was like, oh, this is not going to go well for the right, because they're all probably voting Democrat. I go to the girl next to me. I know her through a friend, who are you voting for? She's like, let me look. And she looks at a Democratic cheat sheet and just is voting for all the wrong things, as at least according to my perspective. Like, this, vote no on this, vote yes on this prop. And I'm like, she's like, how could you do anything but this? And I was like, well, I'm actually doing the opposite of what that says. And I'm going to, she had no idea why she was doing it though, but they organized email lists, cheat sheets as far as who to vote for. We have to do this because what annoyed me about the last election, do I think they cheated? I do. Do I think they ballot harvest in California? I absolutely do. But I think the real reason they won, I think they cheated Trump, but he just won by too much. We can't make excuses. Either we have to fix the voting system, which no Republicans are doing. They're like, oh, we got cheated. Well, are you stopping them from cheating in 2020? Right. They're not doing that. So it's like, if you're complaining about them cheating, but you're not doing anything, okay, so they're going to cheat again. Obviously, you did nothing to stop ballot harvesting. You did nothing to stop Brenda Snipes. Okay, so now let's move forward. And there's no self-accountability where it's like, it was partial cheating, but most of it was the younger generation voting now. They don't like you. You were not organized. And I say this stuff and they're like, no, An0maly, like all they did was cheat. It's a cheating, but you're not doing anything to stop it. So they're going to do it again. And you're not going to counter it. What's that?
What did happen to Brenda Snipes? I kind of forgot about her. What did she ever face charges?
Maybe nothing. That's the thing. It's like, I'm not a politician. I'm not a police officer. So it's not my job to do that. But honestly, as a person who reads the news, I don't know that they did any. I don't know that I saw an article, because I probably would have shared it, of like, she had to step down, or maybe she eventually did resign, or maybe like DeSantis or the other guy kicked him out. I'm not sure, but it took we knew she cheated the last election against Tim Canova, and we had, I believe, Republican there. They let her sit around for 2 years during the midterms. Like, come on. So that's what really annoys me. And it's like, this much cheating, but this much we're not winning. We're sitting in an echo chamber like Bernie Sanders. We're gonna win. And then we realize nobody really likes us that much. It's like, I've been through that. So I don't want to do that. We need a cutout sheet of like who to vote for. We need a network like you or someone else to build one, and then raise each other up like the Justice Democrats do to progressive socialists. And we don't have that. No one's trying to build it. And all I hear is excuses and lame cop-outs.
Well, we are kind of doing things like that along those lines and walk away. Do you know who Scott Pressler is?
Yeah. I don't know him personally, but I saw his Twitter.
Yeah, Scott's great. And I met him. I've known him from Twitter for over a year, but I finally got to meet him this last summer. And then in December, we spent some time together in Florida for this thing that we both went to. And we actually shared a ride to the airport that was like 40 minutes. So we got to really like talk. And he's a really cool guy. And he's, I think, one of the hardest working, like, boots on the ground activists, I think, in the country. And so I said, would you want to kind of hook up with us on Walkaway and really develop sort of boots on the ground sort of activism within the Walkaway network and community? And he said yes. So he has come on board with our team this year, and we've built 50 Walkaway state groups, and the states have leaders, and then we have regions, 5 regions splitting up the country, and there's regional leaders. So Scott's going to get to work on kind of developing our Walkaway boots on the ground activism programs and teaching people, conservatives, how to register new voters and how to, communicate locally with people in their community and tell them, look, it's important to get out and vote, and these are the issues, and this is what's important. So we're trying to have a part in that. But you're right. I mean, it's like conservatives need to do more.
And yeah, I guess that's on us too. But it's also, there's different, we never want to be like NPCs per se, where there are like certain candidates I really like Dan Crenshaw. I really like his domestic policy. I think he's great, reasonable, but his foreign policy to me is just awful. And he disagrees with Trump a lot. So it's like, it's going to be tough to get everyone, but definitely next midterms or something, I'll see where you guys are at and connect with you. Cause that's my motto is always like, all right, if they're not doing it, I guess I have to do this. It's like, I guess I'll do it.
Right. Well, we'll be doing a Walkaway event in LA this summer too. And you said you'd be there. So.
Yeah, absolutely. No, and I want to say it was multiple things at once, but I just visited my family. So I just flew back, and to have to fly back again, I was just like, I need something else, just because I was like, I just don't feel like flying out and going for 3 days, but I really did want to come. And if it was any other time that I didn't fly out, where if it's closer, it's fine. If not, I'm fine too, because I'm not like flying all around this year. But I'm not a huge fan of flying. I'm not afraid per se, but I was like, the cross country flight. And I went to Hawaii this summer, and on my flight, I had a problem. It was actually like I felt like I was gonna die. I'm flying back from Hawaii. I'm halfway there, and the guy announces. He says, like, we're literally 2.5 hours over the ocean, and he's like, "Hey, there's an engine failure, an engine problem. We got to turn around, and we should be okay, but we'll see." Like he literally said that, and I'm over the ocean at night, 2.5 hours, and we're almost to LA. So I'm like, it must be really bad if they're flying all the way back to Hawaii when we're almost like, we're halfway there. It would make sense just to go. So we flew, and it was super creepy. So it was like combo of a lot of stuff just flying from New York to Cali, and that where I'm like, I'll definitely come. But I was like, I need something else to spice it up. Cause at this point I'm like, I'm staying here for at least now. That's what it was.
Traumatized. I'm a terrible flyer. Every time I fly, I'm convinced I'm going to die every single time. So that
Imagine the pilot just being like, literally like, there's an engine problem. We should be all right. Like what? Like what kind of problem? We should be okay. How about like, we're going to be fine. He's like, we should be all right. And it's dark, and we're not, if we were anywhere else, we would have landed at an area, but we're over Hawaii to California is all ocean at night. Terrifying. There's like a German lady next to me, like crying and stuff. And I was like, I couldn't calm her down. I was like, listen, I'm not going to cry. I'm too manly for that. No, I'm just kidding. But, I was like, damn, that sucked.
Yeah, that's awful. And yeah, it's very unsettling. I think it's always unsettling flying over the ocean. I mean, there's like listen, it's not like I would feel all that much better if we crash landed into a field, but I would feel a little better about landing in a field than, the middle of the ocean.
My man Eric Peters said, "LOL, you girls. That's why there are 2 or more engines." Yeah, no, I get that part of it. Like we survived. I'm here, but it's like, come on, guys. There's more than 4 wheels. You can get home. I'm not. I'm not a girl yet. When I transition, you can call me by my right pronoun, but if not, I'll get Justin Trudeau and AOC to arrest you. So.
Yeah, don't misgender An0maly. That's not cool. And we'll get the ACLU involved in that.
Yeah, and the SPCL, we'll get them all. Every lettered group you've ever heard of, we'll get them. Even ABBA, they'll be on our side, obviously. Any last words for the people, Brandon? Thank you for joining me. I'm gonna put this on my debate platform too. Make America Debate Again. So if you guys have Google Play or Apple Podcasts or any of those ones that steal from Google Play or Apple Podcasts, then Make America Debate Again. I got a good debate with Nuance Bro, and this was a very rare conversation with Brandon Walkaway Straka. If I was a baseball announcer, that's how I'd say it.
You would? That was really, really good. Yeah, so here's my final words. An0maly has a way bigger platform than me basically everywhere. So why don't some of you guys be really nice and follow me on Twitter at US Minority. You're already on YouTube, so as soon as he ends the broadcast, why don't you please subscribe to my YouTube channel? It's really sad. I have like this massive social movement that it's national. I mean, it's global. Like there are people in other countries, but I have like something like 28,000 YouTube subscribers. It's very sad. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel. And you can follow me on any social media at US Minority. That's Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube is youtube.com/US Minority. I would love it if you guys followed me. Even if you're mean to me, I don't care. You can be mean. It's cool.
No, Brandon gets it. I mean, I already knew he was getting it enough to be crushing it, and we've gone to an event and chopped it up. But this was the most in-depth discussion we've had, and he really gets a lot of things that a lot of conservatives don't get. So I think this was a healthy discussion, and I'm glad I had you.
Well, you haven't had me yet, but
well, I'm not talking about. I'm saying wait till I transition. And someone said, just to wrap it up in the comments, they're like, An0maly might be gay. I'm not gay, but when I transition, I might be. Because I like women. But now that sounds gay because it's like, oh, he's just overcompensating. It's like, I like women so much. Nah, I mean,
transition and you like women, then you are gay.
That's what I'm saying. I'll be gay when I transition. That's what I'm saying. It's like, don't jump the gun now. And all of this seems really racist. So everybody should have never even questioned me. But, I might start banning everyone because some people on Twitter, they say, oh, An0maly bans anyone who disagrees with them. I was like, that's not true. I ban people who are annoying Or if I say something, they're like, why did you say this? I was like, I never said that. Now you're banned. Or someone's like, oh, you should do this. And I'm like, who are you? Who are you, Michael Jordan? Like, all right, you're banned. I don't ban people for disagreeing. I guess, like you said, I just get an attitude sometimes. I'm sorry.
I've become a chronic banner on Twitter, which it's weird because I went like a full 6 months where my policy was like, don't ban anybody, let anybody say whatever they want to say, whatever. And then it just got out of control because I did this, like I had this douchebag on my show named Sam Cedar. He's the worst person in the world. And everyone who follows him are total SJWs, like robots. They're robots. And what I realized was I don't have to feel bad about banning people because these are not people that are coming on to have like a legitimate debate or discussion or to disagree with me or have a conversation. I mean, they literally were all just coming on to like parrot things that Sam Cedar, their leader, was saying. Like, or they would just be like, oh, Sam Cedar schooled you. You look like such a douche. You look like such an idiot and stuff. And I'm like, there's no value in this, like, because I have people that are hardcore liberals that I don't block them. They come on, they argue with me. Like every time I tweet something, they'll be like, did you know this? Or did you know this? And like, that's cool. Like,
yeah,
you can challenge. It's cool. But if you're just like going to tell me I'm a fucking idiot, like every day, I don't like, bye. Like that doesn't add value to my life.
Yeah, it's like it's not the challenging or the debating or discussing. It's the being annoying, pestering, or I call it like an energy drain. And I don't get drained by discussion or anything. Or even I have friends who I've had to kind of block out where I like them. I don't care that they don't agree, but it was like pestering. Like it was like a tick. They weren't trying to like actually get anywhere. It was just like annoying me where in my own life, like I block people left and right because that's how I'm able to get here is by like blocking certain energies out and sticking with people that I actually like. So I don't know. I don't see why you shouldn't do it on social media.
Totally.
As a personality or whatever that we would call ourselves.
This guy, Sam Cedar, one of the tactics that he uses, just like in his life, when because he has a show, he has his own show.
I've heard the name. I've never seen him though.
He has this show called Minority Report. He's just such an idiot. And but whenever he's talking about anybody who he doesn't like, he won't pronounce their name correctly. Like Milo, he mispronounced, he calls him An0maly or something. And whenever he's talking about me, he'll call me like Brendan or just anything that's kind of like close to my name, but not exactly my name. So his followers like walk in lockstep with everything that he does or signals to them to do. So they'll come to my Twitter account and call me Brian and Brennan or, and all this shit. And like, it's not having my name misspelled or mispronounced that bothers me. It's the group think. Like, it feels like
annoying. It's annoying. You're probably just like, get out.
It's like cultish behavior. And that's what I'm just like, get all these cult people away from me. It's just
like, I have people who someone said, I'm friends with Owen Benjamin. He's had me on his live stream. I actually love Owen and he does a lot of good topics. He never annoys me at all. Like he actually said something about me one time. I thought it was hilarious. He talks about me a lot. So do I, but he was like joking about me, but he did it in a hilarious way. Like I really like his platform, but his supporters sometimes will just parrot what he says and in like an annoying way where I'm like, Owen can get away with that because that's who he is. And that's like what he's saying to me. And he's hilarious. So even if I disagree with him on certain things, he's so funny to me that I like, he's one of my favorite people to watch just as a consumer. But his supporters sometimes, not a lot of them are really cool. They call themselves the Bears and they've been really good to me. But some of them will just be like, move out of LA, do this. And I'm like, dude, stop. Like, just go away. When Owen says it, it's funny. But when like 20 people just like say the same things, it gets annoying. And they're not even liberals where they actually get it. Where like if I went on, that's why I want to debate people. But if I get like their psycho fans with like the roses in the, in their name, or they're like Antifa, you're like, okay, let's relax now. Like I never seen that guy, but I could imagine.
I actually just got trolled right now as we were talking. An alert came into my phone and it's somebody wrote, at US Minority, I see you like pedophiles. And they included a picture of Milo Yiannopoulos. Like, I don't like.
I wonder if it's someone from this stream, or because honestly, like
maybe
I had someone on Instagram today. Like I posted a quote. Like it was the media showing ISIS as the victim, and they showed like a Trump admin woman as like like the villain. And I did that, and then I shared the Malcolm X quote. It's one of my favorite quotes ever. Malcolm X said, "The media has the power to make the hero look like the villain and the villain look like the hero. That's power. They control them." It's a genius quote. And someone's like, "An0maly, you showed your real true colors. Why did you choose a Muslim and not a Christian?" And I'm just like, Malcolm X said this. Like, I don't know. Did a Christian say it? It didn't even cross my mind that I was picking someone who was Muslim. I'm not promoting his agenda, and it's just like what he said is one of my favorite quotes. So it's like they're overthinking it. Like, that'll get you banned. It's not. I'm not mad that you're this or that, but now you're lying about me and being like, I see who you are. I know what you're doing. Don't lie about me. You could challenge me, but be like, I don't know. No one else said that. Malcolm X literally said it.
It's funny they fixate on that, because I mean, it's like they could have also gone with he's a man, not a woman. They could have gone with he's black, not white. They could have gone with he's thin, not fat. They could have, so it's sort of funny that was like the thing that they're like, why would you choose a
I get it a lot because I'm starting to like unpopular people. So I'm like, all right, I got to brace for all this stuff. But if they say the truth and I hear it, I'm not agree. Like, and that's what people don't get. Like, I don't agree. Kind of like the conversation we had earlier about the LGBT community. I'm not covering up their flaws and all the crazy stuff they're doing. Like, I talk about it more often than not, but it doesn't mean everything's wrong. Like, there's speakers I really like because they'll hit me with truth, and they'll say some things I don't agree with, but I let it be. And then people are like, how could you do that? I was like, I don't know. Like, Malcolm X said that quote, and it's honestly a perfect representation of what the media is. So I'll use it 100 times because I've never heard someone wrap it up that if Dinesh D'Souza says it, or like Dan Bilzerian said something one time, and everyone's like, dude, he's a dick. Dan Bilzerian, he's rich with his parents' money. He's just a wealthy. I'm like, I'm sure he is, but like, he said something funny and honest, and I posted it. Like, I don't even follow Dan Bilzerian. Like, I'm not justified. Like, he did this. I don't know, dude. I just saw the freaking tweet, and I thought it was because he was like F NBC. He was talking shit to the media. I thought it was funny, and people get so mad.
People are crazy.
All right, well, we'll wrap it up. I guess I guess you already said it, and I just said I guess 3 times.
No, this is awesome though. I love talking to you. I could talk to you all day. I think we already did talk this for like 3 hours or something, but this was awesome. I had a great time with you.
Yeah, thank you for joining, and we'll do it again sometime. And overall, I'm gonna end this stream before someone else says something mean and hurts my snowflake feelings. All right, I'll see you guys soon.